All right, everybody, welcome back to Drop Dice. So we are late as always, no big deal there. That's pretty normal around Drop Dice. But thanks to everybody who's been kind of sticking around and waiting for the game to start up. I know that we have a couple people that'll be jumping in to watch this as it goes along. So for everybody that does jump in during the game or after the game, we've got the Q&A open. And at the end, I intend to take a few questions, throw some comments inside there if you'd like. Let's go down the line and introduce all of our players for tonight's game, which is a D&D 5th edition using the Convocation book, which is the latest supplement from Absolute Tabletop, which is available on their website, and I'll edit this event once it makes it over to YouTube to have a link for it in case you're interested in playing a Griffin Riding Knight. We'll start with Alex, if you would.
Hi everybody, I'm Alex. Tonight I am going to be playing a Convoker from the AbTab supplement. He is of the order, officially he is of the Order of Stewards, which are sort of the administrative group, and he's a half-elf, and his mission is sort of to tag along and be the ace up the sleeve of the Convokers team. That no one really knows he's actually a Convoker. He's just the guy who takes notes. But if shit hits the fan, he's able to sort of step in there and take on some bad guys. So I'll send it over to whoever's next.
We'll go with Will next.
All right. Hi, you just called me Will. I'll be playing Nathan Baudelaire, which is a Valor Bard Convoker, and he's definitely not the warrior type. There's Warden for that, and he's pretty much just a diplomat.
Okay, perfect. And next we'll go with Nelson.
Yep, I'm Nelson. I'll be playing the Dwarven Convoker Gromer Irondust. Short, stout, buff, with a torrid past, and a penchant for combat, which is probably why he's going around searching for peace.
Perfect. If you guys happen to have the ability to throw up an overlay with just your name, that would be real helpful for me. And I'm pulling up our event right now because I know you guys wrote down all your names, and I'm poorly prepared with names right now.
Sorry, my character's name is Cytharian Brownbasket. Sorry, Cytharian Brownbasket.
Cytharian.
Cytharian, yeah. I'll type it in the chat for you guys.
It's okay, I'm writing it phonetically for myself here. And Will is going with Nathan. All right, so let's do the little bit of backstory in case people haven't seen that. It is inside the description of this video, but I'll just go ahead and read it. This game is actually set a little bit in the past from the current Provokers game. It's actually the year 22 AGS, which is after the Great Scorching. Every Convoker was told at some point in their career that, as an initiate, that the title of Convoker grants great power, but also there's a great cost that must be paid. Sometimes the cost affects only the Convoker, other times it can affect many. You've been selected to deal with Warlord Camus, the Shardstrorm Lord of the Stormwalkers Tribes. Camus has been raiding villages in Sonnegeist for the past few months, and those he has not killed have been conscripted into his army or sold into slavery. We've received word that he is searching for something, and he does not have it. And the longer he doesn't have it, the more out of control his raids become. You'll speak with Camus about his problem and attempt to end the raids peaceably. Remember, their ways are not our own. You will remain peaceful and respectful. While you may object to the raids and slavery, it is commonplace in Sonnegeist, and now is not the time to object to their traditions. Camus is a man of extreme temperaments and expects respect in his court. You will bring a tribute with you that will allow you access to his court, but it is up to you to continue your stay. So, to give all of you an idea, the reports that you receive about Warlord Camus is that the man himself is quite a temperamental man. He's been out inside the deserts for a long time. It's if you listen to the stories, he was raised by sandworms, according to the myth around him, and that he takes his savagery from the creatures that raised him. You've gathered a little bit of information about the Stormwalker tribesmen before arriving, and you know that they actually travel during the Shardstorms, and that's when they conduct their raids. According to the people of Sonnegeist, they seem to have an ability to either predict or manipulate the Shardstorms so that they can actually use it to their advantage during tactics. You know that that Camus, while a very temperamental man, he does basically, if you play to him and that you give him the respect that he thinks he deserves as the leader of his tribe, he'll be more than welcoming to his guests. His honor code dictates that. So Cytherin has actually arrived a little early and stashed his griffin outside of town in one of the mini caves along the Sonnegeist. The Sonnegeist, for everybody, is a great desert that has been burned during the Great Scorching, and there's shards, and it's almost been turned to glass. So a lot of it is very dangerous, and it's very easy to dehydrate and things like that. So Cytherin, you've made many trips out to visit your griffin, and where we're going to pick up is actually you visiting your griffin. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your companion?
All right. So my griffin, has a sort of brown and gray plumage that's not very. It's not uniform. It's patched here and there. He stands very low to the ground, and he sort of walks up to me. He's a smaller griffin in the way griffins go, and I sort of walk up to him and place my hand on his plumage and go, "Oh, don't worry, Groanyard. You won't be stuck in this cave for very much longer." And it sort of nuzzles up to me and then screeches as it points its head to the air and spots something coming.
Yeah, and there's two little black dots that are kind of growing with quickness. And on the horizon, you recognize a kind of familiar face, or at least a familiar set of wings, because the griffins are easier to spot out of the sky. You're able to recognize Gromor Irondust's griffin Hannibal leading the way there.
There they are. They'll be landing shortly.
Okay. Let's go ahead and have Gromar introduce himself and his griffin as well.
Yeah, well, of course, you know, silhouetted by the sunlight, you would notice Hannibal. Hannibal's plumage is reflecting the sun almost as the steel barding that he's wearing. He has silver feathers and a very light blue and rich fur that is patchworked in areas where the scars of battle haven't quite healed correctly. Upon his back is not a very tall, but a very large dwarf. You know, built like he wrestled dragons for a living. He's covered head to toe in steel, much like his griffin companion, wearing a winged eagle helmet. He makes his way through the sky towards you.
Okay. And let's hear about Nathan, his companion.
Nathan's griffin is called Sun Baron for a reason. The griffin believes to be of noble birth, and Nathan has to oblige to every single ways that he has to be treated. He can't just ask Sun Baron to land. He has to suggest it in a way that would dignify him, saying, maybe his lordship would like to land there near our friends. It would be most appropriate to do so, wouldn't it? And upon saying that, now Griffin would consider and start slowly going down there. And the barding it's wearing compared to Gromog's is actually more dignified. It's gold, like his feather, and it's more ceremonial than battle. That seems to be made for battle. but still do its job well.
Perfect. So you all land in, this is there's a roving caravan village out in front of you. This is where, Cytherin, you've been kind of establishing yourself, and you've moved a little bit since arriving here to kind of keep with the caravan. But the caravan is actually, what they're doing is they're tracking these great lizards that kind of travel throughout the Sonnegeist, and they make for easy pickings for food. They're pretty meaty and they don't fight back very hard, so they've been kind of traveling in almost a migratory pattern, following these things. And in fact, that's pretty much what your griffin has had to eat, and it's not the most pleasurable meat. It's pretty dry, but it's functional. It's meat in the desert, so you can't complain too much. Inside the center of this desert, or this little desert tent town, is a larger tent that seems to be lined with exotic furs and things like that, and bones of these great beasts. Sit there, and you know that is where Camus makes his court, is within this giant, almost building-sized tent. It's quite lavish, and it takes a good deal of time for them to set up. The tent city has decided to stay where it's located for at least the next week. And I'm going to say that, Nathan, you've been placed in charge of the pittance that you're going to be bringing to gain access to the court. Inside that chest, you've brought something that you know that Camus has a affinity for. What have you brought along as tribute for Camus?
I would probably bring some exotic items, since they are raiders. So silks, pendants, jewelries, things like that.
Okay. So a lot of kind of the nicer things to impress impress Camus, so that he can give it to one of his many wives. Perfect. So do you guys want to have a moment outside the cave before going into the city to kind of discuss things first?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect. Go ahead.
So as you guys land, Nathan, Sunbaron, Gromar, Hannibal, it's good to see you here. I've announced your arrival. I've been here for a couple days. The Camus, the Warlord, well, he seems quite on edge. We've just been following this group of lizards here. No raids so far, not in the past week. But I've announced your arrival, and they are somewhat eager to meet you.
Yeah, there has been kind of a temporary truce that has been called between the Convokers and Camus, at least until the actual meetings can be conducted. Camus has agreed to stave off his raids.
This is good news. At least for now, it will be easier to convince them, I guess.
Indeed. So, my fellow Convokers, what's our plan of action?
I've heard he's looking for something. Maybe we could learn about it before the meeting.
Indeed. He won't speak of it freely.
Yeah.
At least not with a lowly squire like me. Perhaps a real Convoker. And once he's got his hands on the tribute, he'll be much happier. Don't you think?
Yes, indeed. We can learn much more during the convocation, when he receives us.
Alrighty then. Are you traveling by Griffin back, or shall we leave a Hannibal and Sunbaron here in the cave with Gronyard?
I don't think I'd like leaving them in the cave, but I guess it's colder than the outside.
Yeah, I think Hannibal will like it here.
Alrighty then.
Okay, boy.
On foot it is.
Okay. As you guys travel, it's not a long walk. It's about 30 minutes or so outside of town. It's within distance that if you were to use your Convoker ring to amplify your voice, you could call to your griffin pretty easily. Um, uh, Sitharen has been very tactical in his choice of where he's going to be placing the griffin so that if need be, he can get out quickly as well. Sitharen, you've grown a little bit more accustomed to this, but the sights that you see along the road are still a little disturbing. You're able to see the guards pulling down these prisoners that you know are prisoners of war, and they are given the right to light the land, is what it's called. Essentially, there are large pikes that have been implanted in the ground, and the prisoner is made to open their mouth, and they're sat upon the pike until it slides completely through them, and tar is placed on their feet, and their feet are burned to light the roads at night. Once the person is completely useless as a candle, they pretty much strip down the pike and put a new person on there. You are passing a couple of the tribesmen that are tearing down one of these people at the moment. This is probably one of the more gruesome deaths that you've seen for some of these war victims.
I'm not liking this place to start with.
It is our mission to ensure that we end this, and I think that we might have to close our eyes for a few things individually to help solve the problem on a more global scale. Isn't that right, Nathan?
Yeah, I must say right now I wish I was blind.
Indeed. Not easy to look at.
Once you make it into the tent city proper, things kind of change. It becomes more vibrant, more alive. You see people traveling through the streets, children playing in the roads, and merchants, or at least traders, trading different items amongst themselves, and the people seem to be very happy within the walls of the actual tent structures. You can see that the slaves have been kind of partitioned off, and each tent, which represents a family unit, has a couple slaves that are with it that are doing things that you'd expect of like a servant. They're not necessarily completely slaved down. They're not wearing shackles or anything like that, but they are doing housely chores and things. Had you not been informed that they were slaves, you probably would think they're house servants.
Mm. At least some of them are treated right.
That is something that you've noticed since being here, Sitharen, is that warriors, those that go out and fight, are treated as war criminals. However, those that are captured as part of a siege are treated as servants, more or less, once they come into the slavery. So the ones that are given hard labor and things like that are the ones that actually fought against Camus, which are actually out in the fields attempting to wrangle these lizards and things like that right now.
And these people, are they speaking common?
They do. They speak common, but it's a kind of a slight dialect to it. What they will usually do is when they speak, because you're kind of hearing off conversations and things like that, you're not really talking to them directly, is they will typically say their entire bit that they have to say, but they almost always end on a question. And it seems to be kind of a local colloquialism.
Lovely, isn't it? Yeah, I'm getting it.
As you travel through the town, you can hear different sounds of music and smell different meats and things like that cooking. And it's actually quite quaint. Some of the locals actually will come up to you and they'll nod to you and things like that, but they don't speak to you directly. Once you get a little bit closer to Camus's tent, there are two guards that are wearing different wraps and things like that to cover up their skin from the elements, and they kind of look you over, and one of them leans forward and he says, "Do you come from the Convocation?"
Yes, we are the envoys.
Good. Camus will be quite pleased. Have you brought the tribute?
Of course, a gift for his greatness.
Excellent. Enter with the peace of the ancestors. If you need anything more, ask.
Thank you.
Okay. As you enter, an old woman kind of passes you on the way out, and she kind of toughs some stuff at you. It's like this kind of a thicker smoke, and she's making prayers to some spirit thing that you haven't heard of before. Most likely it's whoever they venerate. Once you make it inside the tent, there are different silks and things like that that are draping down from the ceiling, and there's this thick, heavy smell of tobacco that floats in the air. Sit there, and you've been in here once before. You know that Camus is a man of luxury when he's not fighting. He pretty much does everything very big and grand. You kind of start guiding them through this almost maze of different silks of different colors and varieties, and you slide one past, and then you see a man with very long hair holding a bowl that's full of wine, and he takes a drag off of this cigar, and he puts it down, and then he drinks back the wine, and you can hear some of the women that are inside the tent laughing with him as if he just finished up a good story. You know this to be Camus, and that the proper thing to do here would be to prostrate yourself before him.
And I do, and I say, Lord Camus, I apologize for interrupting your time of sharing with these fine women, but I would like to present to you the two Convokers that I have told you about. Convoker Envoy Nathan here, who is here to see you and who brings great tribute, and Sir Gromor. They will be discussing business with you, and to you, my friends from the Convocation, I would like to present Lord Camus, Raider of the East, man of grand power and of great respect here.
As you give the introduction to Camus, he stands and he says, Stuart, you forget my favorite title.
You are...
You know it to be the Shardstrorm Lord.
Good. Shardstrorm Lord. I was saving that one for the end.
He dusts a little bit of the blackened dirt off of his pants, and the women that have been sitting with him get up, and they kind of get up but bow at the same time, and they kind of shrink back into the different silks and things like that. And you know they're still there, but they just aren't visible because of the way that this tent has been structured.
I do the same thing.
He walks over to a raised chair that's inside the center, and it's the kind of chair that you'd see in a church that the priest would sit in. It's clearly something that he raided from a temple. And he takes his seat down on the chair, and he says, "Please come forward. What does the Convocation bring in offering?"
Nathan will move forward and bow while presenting the little container with all the gifts in there. He opens it and says, "Luxuries and exotic goods from our lands, if for a great man with great many titles, most of it, I assure, have been earned with pride."
Of course. I assume that you won't have your own titles and legends to fulfill as well. Convokers are known for their judgment and prowess. I am glad to have you in my court.
It is an honor.
I will say, however, your manners were never mentioned. I appreciate you for understanding my people's traditions. He'll take the box and he'll set it to the side. As he starts to kind of set it down on what would be about table height, you see a steward kind of pop out from the side between some different silks, and he just kind of rests it inside his hands, and the steward immediately walks away, like this is a practice maneuver that gets done quite often. My steward knows to ensure that our conversation will be just our own. I am afraid that there are lingering ears within my tribe. Please, for now, sit and drink. We will discuss business once you are rested. The travel is harsh.
Indeed.
He claps his hands, and a few servants come out with food, and then he dismisses them, and you can hear people leaving the tent. So Theron, you were not asked to leave the tent. You can stay behind if you like.
When I hear about the fact that he said that there were lingering ears hanging around, and then everybody leaves, I'm going to leave with them, and maybe try to find some of these people who are lingering ears.
Okay, absolutely.
So I'll let you guys deal with this guy.
Yeah. So Camus
Right.
will join you at a kneeling table, and he'll share food with you. You quickly catch on that he expects you to serve him because you're in his court. So one of you will, if you would like to remain respectful, will be cutting meat for him and sliding it to him, things like that, making sure his glass is full, along with taking care of your own needs.
Yeah, Nathan will do it.
Okay. He's actually pleasant during this whole conversation. Once all of the people leave and he feels comfortable, he clears his throat and he says, I have asked the convocation to come forward for 2 reasons. One, I feel that there is someone in my tribe that wishes to take my seat. I believe I know who it is, and it shames me to say that he is one of my generals. He does not lack the strength or knowledge to guide this tribe as it needs to be. His pursuit of bloodlust has pushed this tribe into more raids than is necessary for this year. As you can tell, my people flourish at the moment. But Malon Shardtooth pushes for more raids. According to our tradition, the ruler of the the Stormwalkers must be able to find the crown of shards. If Malon finds it before me, he can take over this tribe, and I know that he will have his sights set on the southern lands. That is why he keeps insisting that we gather forces. Officially, I've asked the Convocation to help me seek out an object that I desire, which is the Shard Crown. But should we not be able to accomplish this, he will lead the Horde south, and anything that gets in their way will face the punishment that is due a warrior. I'm sure you saw along the roads, those were for warriors that stood and fought to the end. The ones that gave up earlier suffered a much worse fate.
I would like to use one of my convocation boon for learning if, when he says that if Camus take power, he will stop the raids.
You want to see if Camus is lying about stopping the raids?
Yeah.
Sure. So what does it look like when you activate this boon?
The name is Seeker of Truth, so I guess it's just like I look closely at him, his eyes, his micro expressions, basically.
Is there any tell on you, like do your eyes change or anything like that?
I can look it up, but I doubt it.
There's nothing inside the book. I know that boon.
Okay.
I was just asking if you wanted to add any real flavor to it or anything, like maybe your eyes change to look like griffin eyes or something like that.
Oh no, I'll just be very very perceptive, not perceptive,
Okay.
but yeah.
He's not lying about raiding the south, but he is hiding something.
Okay.
And you get the point that when he talks about Malin Shardtooth, he's definitely not lying. Shardtooth will go to the south and start war. Malin has chosen to enact one of our most ancient rites. Because of it, I cannot face him on the field of battle as a warrior. Normally, I would crush an insubordinate like him and put him on display for the others, but my hands are tied.
What is this right that ties your hands?
As a general, he has sworn as a blood brother to me. A blood bond amongst tribesmen in a fashion that would result in the death of one of us. A duel of honor normally could solve this, but Malin has declined and said that he wishes no harm to me. I believe some of the soldiers believe him, but I know that there are others that side with me in this matter. I have received reports that he has been searching the just south of us. He believes that the crown is in this region, and he'll unroll a map and he'll kind of show a region of the Sonnegeist that's to the south about 2 days, kind of more of a southeast direction, whereas most of the Southlands that you guys are from is from the southwest. He has made a show of his allegiance, but I do not trust him.
If he believes the crown to be here, where is it that you would have us seek?
I have searched that area, but I do not know that the information I received was accurate, because I had Malin search for the crown. He reported back that he found no leads, and we moved on to further north, which is why the caravan is where it is now. I believe that he has discovered something and has been sending his own scouts there to try and solve the issues there. The crown most likely is protected by some sort of guardian. If the Convocation can retrieve this crown for me, I can guarantee the safety of your lands.
It seems to be a fair deal.
Good. Then, please, seal your oath. And he'll cut his hand, and he'll just freely bleed on the table. And then he'll pass the knife to you.
To Nathan?
Yeah, to Nathan.
Okay, so he's probably half expecting someone else to pick it up and understands like he has to do it, and like, oh crap. And he would do the same.
Okay.
Although he will wince, and he's not a warrior, so the pain is obvious.
Camus will kind of turn his head towards Gromar, who's remained kind of stoic and this whole time, expecting him to do the same.
Yeah, Gromer will, unlatch one of his gauntlets to expose his hand and follow suit.
Excellent. For now, you are my guest within the city. I am a patient man, but do not try me. Get this done as quickly as possible. Malin is quite the speaker to the tribesmen. He will push for war if he feels that you are showing a weak face.
Thank you for the advice.
Let's go out to Cytherin. Cytherin, you kind of wander around the tent and you try to kind of hide that you're poking around and investigating to see if anybody is actually listening in. What I'd like is an investigation check, actually.
All right. Here we go. Where is my dice stream?
If you want, you guys can use regular dice as well.
Ooh. And I think I got a pretty good investigation score, too. I have +9 investigation, and I rolled a 19. So that's 28.
Okay, perfect. So you don't catch anybody doing it, but you find proof that someone was recently messing around the tents. There's a small tear in the fabric that looks like somebody may have used it to kind of like open it up and peek in. As you kind of inspect it, you can tell that the tear that was done there is enough for you to see your friends. When you look in, you see them kind of talking to each other and a knife being passed around the circle.
Mm.
Judging by what you see around you, you suspect that there's at least one person. If you wanted to track them, it would require survival from this point. But you're able to find enough evidence that there's definitely somebody who is spying.
My guy knows that he's not very good at doing tracks and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So instead of trying to track this guy, I think he would try to ask around and convince one of the other servants to tell him if they saw anything.
Okay, so you're gonna kind of go around and do it diplomatically.
Yeah. So what I would do is sort of just wander around and walk up to maybe the guy who was carrying the tribute, if I see him. Because he seems to be sort of in and sort of always around the tent room.
Yeah,
where
you managed to find the steward. With the discussion with the man, the steward has no name. He's just got his title, which originally threw you off because you thought his name was Stewart when you first met the man. And you've had some conversations with him. He tends to wear a little bit nicer robes to show his station, but he is still considered a servant.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to try to sort of pull the, oh, you're a servant? I'm a servant. We should be servant buddies type deal. And I'll say to him, hi, Stuart. Listen. You want to get in good with your with Lord Camus, with the Shardstrorm Lord. I might have a piece of advice for you. And what do you think? What do you think about that idea?
He looks at you and he does this kind of like characteristic thing that he's been doing for a while, which is he turns very slowly to look at you, and he says, "In this life, my only purpose is to serve the Shardstrorm Lord." And that's his only real response.
And I sort of nod to him, and I say, indeed, I can relate to that. In my life, the only purpose is to serve the Convocation. You see, we are two of the same, you and I, and I'd like to help you out a little bit. Would you appreciate that? And I'm trying to end all my sentences with a question, as I heard the people doing, to sort of fit in as best I can.
He says, your service could be admired by another. Please, what information you have for the Shardstrorm Lord, I will take to him.
I say, but you see, that's the catch here. Wouldn't it be fair if I give some information of importance to you, that you give some information of importance back?
What information do you seek?
Well, you see, your lord, he seems afeared that some people in his own court may be working against him. Have you stumbled upon any clues or anybody who you think might be suspicious? Any lead would be helpful to me. His own lord, his own general, Malin. Have you interacted with him much?
He kind of looks a little bit nervous, and he looks around and he says, no one would be foolish enough to cross the Shardstrorm Lord. It would mean certain death. Malin is his blood brother in general.
Aye, then how did this? And I turn around in the tent and just like hit my arm against the flap that was cut open and
So when you
reveal it to
do,
it.
it like tears open the flap, and all of you had just finished like cutting open your palms, and there's just like this tear and beam of sunlight that comes through, and you see your friend the steward with his hand like half inside the tent, like oops.
Just silently, Gromer turns and is staring at him.
Camus looks back and he screams to the guards. He sees that man. He was spying on our conversation. And quickly things turn for the worse for the steward. Guards will come around the corner with pikes out. Do you fight against it, or do you just kind of go with it?
I would definitely go with it.
Okay.
All the while saying, I was revealing this this flap, for I noticed it when I was leaving. I was only trying to help, and I'm going to try to convince them that, or I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that.
Yeah.
Out there.
So after a little bit of confusion, the steward will step forward and have kind of a hushed conversation with Camus, and then Camus will kind of shift his head back and forth, and he'll look to the other two, and he says, I believe your steward was trying to show a great loyalty to my court. I will free him into your care, but know that we will be watching. The convocation is here as guests, but any proof of spying against my people will not be taken lightly.
And Nathan would get up and say, yes, of course. And at the same time, he would go near the tent that was ripped, and would try an investigation check to see how long it was. Was it a fresh cut? Has it been there for a while, or is there some tissue that?
So Theron, you're going to be released, and you can see that Nathan is kind of looking it over. Between the two of you, you're able to determine there is a section that's about 4 inches long that was clearly cut because the cut is too clean, and then after that it's tears, and you can obviously tell the difference between the two.
So it has been done recently.
It's hard to tell on a cut in fabric how recent it is. It hasn't started fraying, so
Okay.
it would have to be fairly recent, but you wouldn't know if it was like an hour or less or anything like that.
But Nathan would try to make it sound convincing, like this has been done recently. Your Majesty, Your Highness was right to suspect.
Inspecting the cloth, how thick is this cloth? How easy would it be to cut? And if cutting it, like if anyone else has a dagger, Gomer actually has no weapons on him. So if anyone has a dagger, he'll ask if you could use it to cut the cloth and see if if it makes any sound and how loud the sound would be, how the ease of which that it cuts. Trying to determine whether or not the cut was made while spying or in preparation for spying.
Okay, so like you go about like 4 inches in from where the cut is, and just take a knife and just slide it right through. The Getting the knife through the fabric, there's a little bit of a push, but once it's through, it cuts clean. Um, it makes a little bit of noise on the initial puncture. However, the cut itself is fairly silent. Just holding it inside your glove, you can kind of hold the fabric tight, so it doesn't really make a lot of noise. If you had to venture a guess, it probably could have been done during the conversation because it doesn't make that much noise. Like, you're hearing it because you're holding the fabric, but you have a feeling that Camus, who's like 12 feet away, wouldn't have heard it. During your investigations, you can hear Camus directing those in his court. He's ordering for hides to be added to the outside of the tent to make it more structurally sound.
Also, I'm still on the cloth and the cut and the tear.
Mm-hmm.
Has it like fallen over, or is it still at height at the moment?
When Cytherin pushed his hand there, it made a hole that was big enough for like a halfling to walk through. Like the fabric, once the fabric has been compromised, it's very easy to tear apart.
Right, but we do what I'm asking is the initial cut, the height at which the initial cut was made still remains, correct?
Yes, if you kind of hold the fabric where it was, you can see that it would be a human kneeling, a halfling tall, or a dwarf kind of squatting down. That would be kind of the judgment call on as far as like what could have used the hole.
Right. We've already disturbed the sands enough, right?
Since being in the tent village, you've seen mainly humans and half-orcs. Though some of the tribesmen and things like that wear a lot of different like headgear and wraps and things like that, to where all you really see is their eyes, so it's quite hard to tell what their race is. Shigmas, if you're familiar with that term.
All right. Well, as we sort of start to head out, I turn back and I give a look to Steward, and I want to try to communicate thank you through just give him a really thankful look as we exit.
When you do, he will nod to kind of like a nod bow thing, where it's like just a shallow bow as you leave. You understand that he probably recognized and understood what you were getting at. As you leave, some servants will come around and they'll start sewing in hides and things like that to kind of cover up that hole to start their patchworking, because they're going to basically redo the whole tent.
Great.
Sorry, I was wondering if we do. So since we're like welcome sort of in the city, did one of the servants maybe show us a tent that was supposed to be sort of ours to stay in here, or?
Yeah, Cytherin, you've been staying inside a tent that's been given to you as a guest. And you've also been given 2 slaves to take care of your needs. So you know exactly where you would stay.
Awesome. And in my conversation sort of announcing the arrival of the Convokers to these people, were they to stay in the same tent with me? Was that part of the arrangement, sort of, that would be our home base?
Yes. You were given
Awesome.
a large enough tent to support about 12 people, actually.
Wow.
You tried to explain it to Camus, but Camus assumed that you were bringing your own slaves. Which is why you ended up with 2, because Camus wasn't going to let you go without slaves.
So I lead my companions back to our tent, and I would. Do the slaves have names that I know of?
Yeah, you're from the south, so you would have asked them for for their names. Normally, you wouldn't use names for them. You would just address them as slaves. But you come from a land where that's not really a practice. You would know that one of them is Callan 3. He is a half elf. He is from he's from the desert elves that are further to the south. In Sonnegeist, there is an elven city. He's actually from one of the outskirts.
Sorry, the second guy was named...
There's Calanthel, and then the second is... let me get a name generator here real quick, because I didn't expect you to ask slave names.
While you're getting the name generator, Gromer is going around the tent to see if there's any inconspicuous or conspicuous hairs.
In your tent, no. Your tent seems to be pretty new, or at least well conditioned. And the other slave is a woman that is Rosina, and she is a desert tribesman.
All right. I speak to Calanthel, and I say, Eriol Fred Ladawanan Grok Dalifed Silimborado. And I'm speaking Elvish to him and saying, Calanthel, my elven brother, my half-elven brother, would you please fetch us some food and water, for we are weary of our journey. For my friends are weary from their journey. And then I tell Rosina, Rosina, if you could find some more appropriate clothing for us to wear, that would be ideal.
Okay.
I'm sort of just sending them off so we're alone.
Yeah.
Giving them something to do.
At the same time, I would ask for the female slave to go do some errands for me.
Okay.
If you can get me some incense and some ivory strips.
She'll take down your shopping list to make sure that you're all taken care of. Both of them will exit the tent, and it's just the three of you now.
Well, that's we're out on a good start, aren't we? And I look at Cithrin.
And I sort of bow my head and I go, sorry, my lord. And then I kind of realize that, wait a second. I can drop the act, and I kind of give him a, wait a second, hey, shut up. I'm doing my best, okay? Nathan, so what did the big man have to say?
He's looking for a crown that would solidify his rule, and if one of his general that called Malin, if he were to take the crown first, apparently he would be more prone to raiding the south.
And if we get the crown to Camus before Malin gets his hands on it, what tells us that he won't be doing the exact same thing as Forsaken General would be doing? Using us to get the crown for his own benefit.
Well, I have an insight on people, and I think he's speaking the truth mostly. There is something he's hiding, though. I'm hoping to find out.
I think negotiations might be in order. Before we go out to look for this crown and bring it back to him, we have to have assurance that he is truthful and that he will end the raids once we get it to him.
Mm-hmm.
You brothers agree?
We could go see Malin, see what his offers are, but we don't want to make Camus suspicious that we are threatening with him.
Especially after he's already warned you about Malin.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed an old woman leaving the tent, muttering about spirits and sorts. Do you think she might be some kind of oracle or advisor or mage woman that might have some insights into Lord Camus's train of thought that others would not? An intimate relationship, maybe?
There's some possibility, seeing how they treat women. If he has him near him, and he's not using her in some ways, she could have some values. We could also
She
maybe
was
ask.
quite old.
Yeah. I don't think she would have made it that long if she was doing other work.
These tribesmen, they believe in the diviners of the stars, the oracles. He might place trust in her. For our sake, it would be good if he placed trust in her wrongfully so. Maybe we should seek her out. She could have answers. But I like your idea of seeing Malin as well.
Yeah, we can work something out.
What do you think, Gromor? What would your line of action of choice be?
The sins of want and desire are strong even here. And truth always depends on who does the telling and who does the listening. But the more we know, the more we know.
An investigation then, before we seek out looking for the crown.
Yes. Oh,
Did you agree to anything with him during the meeting? Was there a handshake or a contract made?
I look at my hand that was wounded with the blade and it's like, maybe.
What agreement have we gotten ourselves into? And he sort of takes out a scroll and a pen and starts preparing to write down in precise detail whatever was agreed upon.
Well, the crown in exchange of peace, basically. Though I don't think that's documented.
Yeah,
And I sort of write down the nature of how the contract was signed, like the ritual, the whole thing, and sort of put that in a document and seal it and store it away.
Yeah. So Theron, you've been around the tribespeople long enough to know that there are a couple things that they hold as traditions, and one of them is hospitality, which you've seen already and everybody has seen. One of them is this idea that the truth is of the utmost importance, that when they swear something, that they will uphold it no matter what the cost is to them. In fact, since you've been with the tribe, you've seen men that have gone out and gotten themselves killed over an oath that they've promised. So you know that if Camus is willing to spill blood or share blood with them, that oath is what he will take with him no matter what. If he's promised peace and that he will not invade, he will not invade.
Did he specifically say that he will stop the raids and that he will invade nothing if we are to bring him this crown before you bled?
He won't invade the lands to the south.
He could have other plans. He said he was hiding something.
Yeah, that's something we could investigate too. Are there any place of pleasure here, like a bar, some tavern, a dice hand, or something?
I mean, it's a tent village. There's not really anything official, but there are there's a central gathering point where there are no tents built. It's almost like the city is built like a hub to a wheel inside the center, where like a hubcap would be. there's a large fire pit, and there's different vendors and things like that. And that's also where Camus's tent is. At night, they typically share wines and things like that out there and have storytelling.
Yeah, maybe we could learn about a few things of this Camus if we meld with the population.
Great idea indeed. All right, so at this point, I think I'd set out maybe to try to find this old woman that I saw exiting the tent and muttering about praying to the spirits, to see if I can get a hold of her and see if I can get her to tell me what she was doing in the tent, what her relationship with Camus is, and just sort of try to get any general information out of there. So I let my friends know that I'm going to try to go do that, whatever they want to do.
I think Romer will be curious about this spirit woman as well, and just follow you.
Okay. Yeah, the when you arrive to the spirit woman's tent, you can smell kind of these toxins in the air. Like you've been around enough soldiers to know when someone's trying to use drugs to kind of get away from their own spirits and ghosts and things like that of the past. This woman definitely deals in some of those chemicals and things like that. After just kind of a moment of fortifying yourselves, you open up the tent, and this kind of, it smells like almost a dead animal mixed with roses. It's a very strange smell indeed. There's the woman, she's kind of hunched over a fire, and she's sprinkling this red dust over the fire, and it creates this plume of smoke that she kind of wafts with an eagle feather to her face. She says nothing to you as you enter, by the way.
I say nothing as I enter as well.
I use minor illusion to make the flames of the fire that she's hovering over sort of change colors and swirl for a moment. And do I happen to know anything about like their religion or things that they would consider to be a sign or a symbol?
Not really. You haven't been with them long enough, and you really hadn't taken the time to seek out that information just yet. The woman looks up from the flames, and she's got kind of milky eyes, and her eyes finally kind of come back into full view, as if like the clouds sink right into the pupils, and she says to you, "Why have you interrupted my studies?" The spirits speak to me, and you are being quite rude. What business do you have with me?
We seek information. Maybe we could give you something in return.
I require nothing, but the spirits may. What information do you seek?
We'd like to know what Camus plans to do once we bring him the crown. Why does he want it? Has he told you? Has he asked the spirits?
Camus believes in our traditions. He has asked the spirits for many things. Among them, what he plans to do when getting the crown, if it will be a successful endeavor or not. But this I cannot give to you. If you wish to find this information, you must appease the spirits. What have you brought for them?
I look to Gromor and raise an eyebrow. Go on, me lord, me convoker. Show the lady what we brought for the spirits.
All right. Well, Gomer will then remove his helmet, his hair and flesh sticking to the metal inside, uh, sweating profusely. You now notice Gomer's eyes are a swirl of different undulating colors. He's looking at this old lady, and assuming that she's open to letting spirits in to communicate with her, Gomer will actually reach into her mind, and she would see an old, haggard griffin step through the shadows of her thoughts. Its beak would part open, and the words in her own mind, in her own thoughts, would simply utter, "What is it that the spirits desire?"
You took Faceit, correct?
I took what?
You took Faceit, correct?
I have Face Sight, Devil Sight, Eyes of the Rune Keeper, and my pact is of the old one. So what
Okay.
I'm using is the Awakened Mind ability currently.
Yep. With your Faceit, however, you will notice that she is a polymorphed thing. She is actually a dragon, which are believed to be completely destroyed.
Seeing that she's actually a dragon, like I'm looking at her, and I kneel.
Okay.
And I kind of look at him as like, is this some sort of tradition, inquisitive look for a split second before I sort of kneel to, not knowing what's going on at all.
She can respond to you in kind with telepathy according to your ability, correct?
Yes.
Okay. She tells you that the spirits will tell you. And she kind of hands you I say hand, but she kind of like slides it your direction, this bubbling concoction that she had resting by the fire as if she was expecting guests.
He extends his hand, receiving this item.
The spirits will take something, but they will give you the information on what they require to be appeased for this information. Are you ready?
I came here prepared to do what I must. And again, this is the griffin in the mental space speaking.
Mhm.
Romer himself is completely
Yeah,
silent.
for everybody in the room, they're just being entirely too quiet because they're having they're having a telepathic conversation at this point.
Shit. I sort of shake my hand discreetly, and from my sleeve a paintbrush pops into my hand, and the end of the paintbrush, a drip might fall to the ground, and it's this sort of swirling, multicolored paint that is imbued into this brush, and I'm gripping it very tightly.
Okay. Gromar, do you drink from the potion?
Yes.
Okay. When you drink, for everybody who's inside the room that can see what happens for Gromar, you see that his eyes dilate, and this almost like ripple of something crawling underneath his skin comes out from under his eyes and down his face. It gets to his jawline, and it comes back, and it creates these geometric raised parts along his face, almost in the pattern that Cetharin you've seen as the paint that the warriors wear amongst this tribe when they choose to go without their head dressing. For just a moment, Gromar is entirely gone from consciousness from you. The old woman just sits quietly, and then she sprinkles some of this black dirt over the flame, and the flames itself start to turn kind of a blackened color, and Gromar hyper focuses into the flame, seeing what is required of him. Gromar, you see a vision of the desert burning, and as the flames die down, you see that what's left behind is crystalline. What you're witnessing as you kind of piece it together, is this is what happened during the Great Scourge, is that the desert burned, the dragons had purged the land in effort to try and destroy the empire that was once here. And these people had managed to escape by hiding inside caves and things like that, and made do since. You're watching almost kind of a fast forward of time, and then what you see is these two snakes that are traveling through the desert, and there is a stone that peeks out. The two snakes seem to go into combat over this stone, and you get kind of this duality scene. In one part of your brain, you can see that one snake wins, and it sits upon the stone, and it turns its face to the north. Inside the other part of your brain, you see that the other snake had won instead, and it turns its eyes to the south. The one that looks to the south, you can see that there's burning and that there's death continuing all the way across the south. The one that looks to the north, you see the same thing.
Shit.
And that's when I exit the vision.
Mm-hmm.
After exiting the vision, and Gromer's does Gromer's features return, or are they just stuck the way they are?
Your features will remain for a little bit, and you'll feel the tension on your face because it's like pulling at your muscles. But after a few minutes, it will subside.
All right. After coming back to consciousness, Gromer goes from his kneel and his spiritual state, for lack of a better word, look again upon what appears to be this old woman, and fully bow, actually kowtowing to her, before raising up, nodding, and putting his helmet back on.
Okay.
He then looks
I kind of go.
Sithurn.
Wait, we're not done here. No, nothing happened. No information was exchanged. Where are you going?
The old woman smiles this like mangly, toothy grin at you, Stuart, and or rather, not Stuart. What was the order you were?
Sitharian.
Sitharian. Yeah,
the Order of Stewards. Yeah.
Order of Stewards. Okay, so Steward is an appropriate title.
Mm-hmm.
She smiles kind of this toothy grin at you, and she says, the spirits have given him what he needs. His cost will be paid. I am afraid that spirits are slow to take what they want, but when they do, they take it immediately.
I give you a so we're good to go look.
He just nods, turns, and walks out.
It was a pleasure meeting with you, milady. What was your name, by the way?
I have no name. I go by Seer. I am my tribe's witch doctor, and I tend to their needs, both spiritually and physically.
All right. I will go ahead and bow and leave with a shiver down my spine.
Okay. And Nathan, you were with the group, correct, or did you want to go do something else?
I was waiting at the tent for the errands to be done.
Okay. So we'll go back to you waiting at the tent. The errands will have been completed. They'll have brought you some desert gear and things like that. So long as you don't wear your armor, the elements will be reduced. Gromer, unfortunately, if he continues to wear his armor, is going to start to face exhaustion and things like that because he's wearing armor in the desert.
All right. I'll be using the component that I sent the slaves to get to cast legend lore.
Okay.
About the short crown. Just know exactly what we are dealing with.
Okay. Legend lore. Refresh me on what that spell does exactly.
All right. Name or describe a person, place, or object. The spell brings to your mind a brief summary of the significant lore about the thing you named. If the thing you named isn't of legendary importance, you gain no information. The lore might consist of current tales, forgotten stories, or even secret lore that has never been widely known.
Okay. So the Shard Crown was forged when the Great Scorch happened. Inside the fires, it was discovered. It's believed to be the crown of the previous empire that resided inside the Sonnegeist, which is the Khazran Empire. It's believed that it was that emperor's crown at one point. It is also said that the true ruler of the Sonnegeist will wear that crown and unite the tribesmen, bringing them into an age of enlightenment and rulership. Some information that you're going to get that because it lets you kind of know what's not necessarily known. The bearer of the crown becomes cursed, that they will seek out and have bloodlust, and that they will conquer and destroy anything in their path that they believe is against their people.
Ah. Okay. I will be awaiting to share that information.
Okay.
So, could we say that we sort of reunite at the tent and debrief?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next.
Is everybody willing to share all the information that just happened with everybody else?
In time, yeah. I kind of wanted to role play it out, but
Okay, sorry.
I was going to say he might not tell you everything.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I wanted to know if it's safe for my character to assume like what he does know, what he doesn't know. So yeah.
Yeah, the first thing is, as soon as we get back to the tent, Romer, seeing the both of you there, again takes off his helmet. His flesh sort of sticking to the helmet, his hair, all a mess.
The servants have laid out different clothing and things like that. They've got like 3 different sizes for Gromer because they couldn't quite figure out the appropriate sizing because there are no dwarves out here. So the clothes that they brought you, you kind of have to cinch it if you're going to wear the desert clothes to get it to fit right.
Do the servants remain the entire time?
They will unless you tell them to go somewhere. They do things like set out water. They just kind of stay in the background.
Gromer's just sort of like looking at the servants, and then looking at Citharin, and looking at the servants.
My friends, if you could stand guard outside the tent. We are wary, and we would like to not be disturbed. So if you could just stay outside the tent, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Both servants bow to you, and they take their leave. When they stand outside the tent, they give a good 6-foot berth from the tent, but they will look around and be mindful of anybody coming too close to the tent.
I cast silence inside the tent, so no sound can... Wait.
I was going to say
no sound can enter or exit, and you can speak telepathically, right?
It makes things a little bit more complicated, but yeah.
It would be telephone, because he can only talk to one person at a time.
Alright, well... I didn't want anybody to hear us, so I did that, and then I kind of raised an eyebrow at him and mouth the words.
Actually, I have the observant feat, and I can read on lips.
I don't.
So I'm like,
I have paper and calligraphy tools because I'm a note taker, and so I write down on the paper and show them. I don't want us to be overheard by anybody in this who might be spying on us. So I cast a silence spell. Let's figure out a way to communicate.
Motioning his lips at first, shaking his head. Gromer just stares at Citharin. Again, you see the undulating colors in his eyes and in the shadows, if you are receptive, the shadows of your mind comes this old, haggard griffin and just says, "Bear with me. Let me show you what I saw." And the whole scene restructures itself. The memory of being in the tent there, of when Gromer knelt, when the goblet of bubbling liquid was passed. It all happens in the exact same fashion, but instead of the old woman, you just see a large dragon there.
Do you show them the vision? Or show him?
That's the first step.
Okay.
You know, and then as the dragon passes the goblet, and Gromer drinks of the goblet, you see both lands, and then the exact vision plays over of the two serpents fighting.
So the start of it is the land on fire. I need a concentration check for your spell. Or con save, rather. Sorry, 5th edition. That's for Sith Aaron.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because you feel like you're on fire.
I thought you were using a spell to communicate with me, and he was asking it for that.
No, Sith Aaron, you feel like you're on fire.
That's a 20.
Okay.
But I do fall to my knees and
you're able to hold it together, but you're going to take a level of exhaustion. The vision was not intended for you, and the spirits are making you pay a cost.
Ouch. I'm not sure exactly what that does.
The level of exhaustion, let me pull it.
The first level of exhaustion gives you disadvantage.
It's like disadvantage on a bunch of stuff.
Ability checks.
Yeah.
Not saves, but ability checks would be like a strength check or a skill check.
You have disadvantage on ability checks.
All right.
Though you can recover quite easily, you just need a short rest where you actually fully rest. There's not enough conditions to keep that exhaustion going, but as the scene plays, you can feel like your skin almost boiling is what it feels like to you. There's no real evidence of it from somebody who's looking, other than you look like you're being racked in pain right now because you've leaned forward. You witness the whole thing, and once the vision finally stops with the serpent that looks to the north and it's all on fire, finally that burning sensation goes away, but you feel just completely drained.
I sort of fall to my knees on the ground of the tent and look up at him with a "What did you do to me?" look.
Again, as long as you're still receptive, the old haggard griffin in your mind, as the vision and everything wanes back, and there's just the shadow and void of thought, just says, "That is what I saw, and now you see through my eyes."
And I'm
All
there
right.
what's happening?
I give him a 4 or 5 panel sketch of what I just saw on my paper. Just very quick-handedly.
He hands you the Sunday newspaper comics.
Exactly. I give him the burning lands, the two serpents, and sort of one of them turning to the south and the other one turning to the north. It's just sort of basically the gist of it. And then I go sit down at whatever. I don't know if there's a table in here or if it's more of a sort of sit on the ground type environment. But whatever food and water the servants brought to us.
Yeah, there's a kneeling table with some pillows. It's just kind of the culture. It's easier to move those things. They fold up. So you've got that. But the servants have set out food and drink for you because it is kind of the afternoon where the tribe actually eats 4 smaller meals throughout the day. So this would be the 3rd meal about that time.
And plus, I had sent my buddy Kelenthel to grab us some food and water.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I'm just going to try to recover there for a minute.
While he's recovering, I asked to get the pen and paper and write the summary of the story I learned about the crown,
Awesome.
about the curse and what it would mean.
And when we're all sort of done, I burn the pens, the papers in the candle. I assume there's some sort of fire light source inside this tent, so it's not too dark.
There's a lantern inside there that it's quite easy to dispose that in.
And I sort of write down on a piece of paper, what do we do next? And I put 3 question marks on it and slap it down on the center of the kneeling table.
I write on it, I ask if Cytherin knows what happens to traitors, like someone that would spy on Camus. What kind of fate would they have?
So Cytherin, you've seen it happen. The deaths on the road were quite calm compared to what ends up happening to traitors. Traitors are basically buried to their neck in sand and then left in the desert to die. They usually get coated with some sort of sticky food or like fruit syrup, which will attract scorpions.
And I would ask him if...
I draw that. I draw a little head.
You draw like a little sad head
This
that's
is
getting
what I
stung
draw.
by a scorpion.
And I write underneath, the dead might have more answers than the living. Do you know where there's one?
If you mean where a traitor was buried, he does know where that was. It's about 2 days outside of town where that person was buried.
Oh, crap. Lovely.
And would that be in the direction that we would have to travel to go towards the crown anyways?
Yeah, it is. It is along the way. Like, it's a little bit of a detour, but not by much. It shouldn't set you back more than about an hour's worth of travel.
I'm drawing something.
While they're drawing, Gromer is, piece by piece unfastening, the plates from his armor.
Okay. Gromer, as you unfasten the plates, you will notice that that the concoction you drank did more than just kind of tense your skin into a certain pattern. You'll notice that there are what appears to be almost war paint, but it's actually in your skin. You can't do anything to rub it off. Along your arms and chest of this pattern that appears to be what it looks like on your back is this great spread wings, and then there's a head that comes around, and there's a griffin face that goes towards your heart.
Yeah, he wouldn't bother trying to rub it off.
Like, you kind of do at first because you're like, what is this? And then, like, you realize what the pattern is. Down your arms, there seems to be some different, like, geometric forms and things like that. But it's pretty much your entire upper body.
Wow. I look up for a moment and marvel at that as I sort of complete my drawing, and I show it to you guys.
As he looks up and marvels, Gromer will just flex his pecs like left to right real quick. Boom, boom.
You do the Terry Crews move?
Yes, exactly.
Step
And
one,
he
find
adds
crown.
something to his drawing. When he sees that. Wait, no. And I sort of nod at everybody. Like, Are you good to go?
I guess so.
Okay. It has been a long ride. If you guys set out at night and you continue on, you could set camp as you go, but you've learned from the people here, Sitharen, that camping during the day is the best practice, so that you don't wear yourself out and actually traveling at night. So this would be the best time to go, but because of the way they traveled in, it's going to be a hard push.
Yeah. It would be better in the desert to travel at night, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you guys. My character sees in the dark.
Me?
Yeah, I can see quite far.
I'm a human, so it's like, nah, not so much. Do we go on Griffinback?
I would say so. We don't have much info about where the crown is, do we? We know like a general area on a map.
Camus pointed out a general area that he has found out that some of Malin's scouts have been spotted.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could a set of runes.
Cover quite a big.
There's a set of runes down there that. Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
Sorry?
I was cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, not at all.
When you looked at the map, the area that he circled, there is a set of runes there, which Camus believes that the crown may be inside there.
What do the runes read?
Ruins. Sorry, not runes. Ruins.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Ruins.
All right, so I think we should like take a little quick rest, sort of eat some of this food in the water that the servants have brought for us, maybe sleep a couple hours, and then head off. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's do that. But before I go to sleep, I would actually look around the tent, see if there's any openings that has been made, like in the Camus tent.
You don't see any. You kind of like stretch the fabric and kind of take your time to look it over, and I assume the rest of you are going to help out once you kind of see that going on. Mm-hmm. It looks clean. It doesn't look like there's anything inside here that you should be aware of.
All right.
When you guys go to take your rest, are you going to invite the servants to come back in, or are you just going to leave them outside the tent?
When I was here by myself, were they sleeping in here with us in the same tent?
They stay there.
Yeah, then yeah, I would sort of poke my head outside and say, "You've done a great job. Go ahead and come in.
Okay.
It's time for sleep."
So you guys bunk down, and you've decided that you're going to take a couple hours, so about like a 3-hour nap before you head out, and about halfway through that nap, you hear some rustling, and you find that Calanthel's got a knife to Rosina, and she's kneeling on the ground, and that's the scene that you wake up to. Half your tent's been kind of turned over. Gromer, your armor was neatly placed on an armor crow. It's been knocked over.
Yeah, Gromer sort of jumps up, seeing this scene, and without screaming or anything, just simply says, "I wouldn't."
Who are you saying that to?
Towards the scene of crap. You just said the names and I forgot.
Calanthel is the male that's holding the knife to Rosina, the female slave.
Yeah. Well, I'm speaking to
the knife that he has is like a kitchen knife.
What's the meaning of this?
Calanthel is kind of like angered, and you can see him kind of puffed up a bit as he's pulling on her hair, and he puts the knife deeper to her throat, and he spits out some Elven that he says, "I caught this woman digging through your your packs. She was searching for something.
All right.
Oh, well, Rosina, how could you do something like this to us? We were friends. And as I say that, I place my hand on her shoulder and I cast Friends.
Okay. That lasts for like a minute, right?
I can look it up real quick.
I think that lasts for like an action. Like it's.
I was gonna say I know it's a low-level spell, so it shouldn't last very long.
Friends is actually a cantrip.
Is it? Yeah, it's probably just an action then.
Let's see.
She
Duration,
stops
concentration, up to 1 minute.
Okay, perfect. So she stops kind of struggling, and Kalenthel just continues to kind of bear the knife on her. He says he kind of finally clears his head, and he says in common, because he knows not all of you speak Elven, or at least he assumes not all of you do. He says, "Forgive my rashness. I found this woman digging through your things, and I do not wish to die a terrible death as she will. I turn her over to you for your judgment."
But we are such good friends. My friend, why were you looking through our stuff? Tell me. You can tell me. I am your friend. I am a servant like you.
Kalenthel releases her, and he kneels down and tosses the knife away because he's expecting to be punished. She says, I had to look. Malin promised me my freedom. He said that when he gets the crown, he would free myself and my children.
I sort of look at the others.
Oh my.
And you would believe him, why?
Malin is a brave warrior. He spilt blood. He promised me. He would not go back on an oath.
Does Malin know where the crown is now? Have you heard any progress he's made? Where its whereabouts? Or the people he's sent to get it?
Malin promises me that he is but days away from finding the crown. He's found out where it is, but he's having trouble with its location. Getting to it has proven to be difficult.
What did he actually, what were you looking for?
He seeks information. He does not trust the convocation. He believes that you are here to stop him from his ultimate goal. All he wishes is to spread enlightenment to the southern lands.
Gromer will just like grin, but not a grin of happiness like, oh, this fool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll then kneel to, kneel because I'm assuming with the dagger at her throat, she's not standing up.
Well, with the friend spell, she's just kneeling and having a conversation with you.
Yeah, but it's going to be up really soon because it lasts a minute, and we've
Kalenthel,
been talking for about a minute.
Yeah,
so.
Kalenthel, he withdrew the knife, threw it to the ground. He's prostrated himself because he expects to be punished for his actions, even though what he did is technically a good thing.
Yeah, well, I just, in simple reply, Malin will show no one enlightenment. Malin would have the southern lands burn. I have seen it.
If that is the cost that the spirits require for a great ruler to rise, then so be it. Citharan, rather, you feel that your connection is starting to wane.
All right, that's fine. I know that when the spell finishes, she realized she's been charmed.
Yeah.
So she's gonna know. But at the same time, he knows that she's still. I mean, she's a slave, and she can't really try anything right now.
Yeah,
So
she's pretty much doomed if you turn her in.
For now, I'm just gonna let the spell go.
Okay. When you let the spell go, she realizes what has happened. She's kind of scrambles across the floor and grabs the knife, and she just like holds it up, and she's trying to make a break for it.
How big is the tent?
It's about 15 by 15. It's a pretty big tent, actually.
How tall? It's pretty tall too, right?
Yeah, it's about 12 feet tall.
So she grabs the knife, and Gomer just says, "If you'd have the southern lands burn, and that's a cost you're willing to pay, or if that's a cost worth exacting," he'll extend his hand, and then turn his palm up, and create a bonfire towards the exit of the tent, and simply say, "What price are you willing to pay?"
She sees the bonfire spring up, and she kind of panics, runs over to the side, and she starts slashing into the tent. Nathan, you can do something about this, but if you don't, she's gonna get out.
I would try to trip her.
Okay.
I tell the other slave to catch her.
She's not hard to take down, Nathan, but I do need an attack roll.
Yep. Natural one.
Okay. So you go to trip her, and she appears to be quite lithe. She manages to get out of the way. She tears open the tent, and she makes it out. Calentel just bolts right out the tent with her, and there's just this huge tear that forms because Calentel doesn't pay attention. He's running. Calentel is a half-elf of the wild elf descent. He does have the speed feature, so he's able to catch up to her quite easily. And you see him just tackle her and smash her to the ground. There's a bunch of people gathering around these two slaves. You know that if you don't intervene, they're both going to be punished.
I'll run out after them.
So
Of
will
course,
I.
taking a moment or two to catch up with my stubby little legs.
Okay. As you get there, the guards kind of pull the two apart because Calentel had her in like this hold, just to kind of keep her grappled down, and the guards have pulled them apart and have basically put swords to each one of them as you approach.
Nathan, me lord, please tell these fine guards to release my half elven slave, Calentel.
Yeah, actually I will use a spell. I just want to make sure I get it right. It's mass suggestion.
Okay.
And basically telling them like, oh, it's a big misunderstanding. Please just return our slaves. We will deal with it ourselves.
Perfect. So you cast mass suggestion, and what does that look like? Is there some sort of like a flavor that you want to add to it, or is this going to be kind of more of a standard thing?
I would maybe start listening a little, so everybody starts looking at me more easily, and I'm very trying to convince. Like I'm moving my arms around, and I'm very. I try to attract as much attention as possible as I speak those words, and subtly inside those words are some key magical words that actually cast the spell.
Okay. So Nathan looks very animated as he's talking to the crowd, and the crowd starts to kind of like get this like glazed over look that charmed people usually get for just a moment. People kind of start calming down. What do you want to suggest from them again?
To just let it go.
Okay. The guards will. Yeah, the people will kind of let go, and they'll just kind of go back to their business, but the two guards have maintained kind of the grip on the servants. But at this point, they're all charmed by you, and they'll listen to you.
So let them go, and I acted up. I point to the dwarf and say, take them back to the tent. And I'm like,
Gromer, that was for you.
Sorry, I was reading something. So I'm sorry. What happened?
He said to grab the servants and take them back to the tent.
Oh yeah, he'll yoke him up.
Okay. So you like just like sweep up both of them like they're nothing because they're both like lithe human size. So like they don't take much. You're a pretty burly dwarf to begin with. Rosina is attempting to kick and fight the whole way. Calanthel, as just as before, completely submitted to whatever you want to do to him. He doesn't fight it at all.
Yeah, I don't know if she can kick and fight, me being so much shorter than her, but I will drag her if need be.
Yeah, like you're dragging her feet a little bit behind you, but like you've got a good enough grip that she's not going anywhere. She's a slave. She's been pretty like while they do get taken care of, they don't get like the best food or anything, so she's a little malnourished.
All right. As we get back into the tent, I will actually cast, if it's enough, I'll cast mending and just erase
Yeah,
the
you
opening.
can mend the tent. It's a pretty quick job. You just kind of like pass your hand over it, and as you pass, it's like the seam like comes together, and these little magic threads put it back together for you.
Mhm. All right. Keep her on hold there. I will try to cast as a ritual the detect magic spell so to see if there's anything in the tent that's actually magical.
Yeah, so you begin your ritual, which takes about 10 minutes to get through. In the meantime, Gromer, you've set the servants down. What are you going to do with Rosina? Because as soon as you let her go, she's going to try and run again. She's just attempting to get away and alert somebody that she knows.
Um, actually, he'll he'll set her down. Like he won't keep her on his shoulder,
Hmm.
but he'll never let her go. Like he's always got a bit of a
Like she
claw.
starts to get up, and you just clamp her shoulder and put her back down.
Yeah, yeah, and uh, and again, like he'll try to reach out into her mind. So whether she continues to allow it or not is entirely up to her. But she'll see that same old haggard, beat up Griffin stepping out of the shadows of her mind, and the one thing that it'll say is, "I am not your friend."
She won't allow it. She'll start screaming the first time you do it. 'Cause, like she'll see the griffin be like, "I am not your friend," and then she'll scream and immediately start trying to block it. Um, she she's been disarmed by the guards, so you guys lost a kitchen knife out there somewhere, but not that that's super important. You're able to kind of keep her detained, and once the ritual's done, you don't detect any new magic inside the tent other than what
Mhm.
you would expect to be in here because you guys are carrying magic items
Yep.
yourselves. Um, so I did want to bring up something. We started a little bit later than I was expecting. It is, let's see here, 10 now. I was planning for 3 hours, but you guys are going at a little bit slower pace than I expected. If we get to the point where we're at the end and we haven't finished, I'm okay with doing a two-part. I just wanted to throw that out there if you guys want to do that.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm also free like pretty much all evening. I mean, I got no imperatives, so
Okay.
either way is fine.
Totally fine. Since we are at the 2 hour mark, I do, however, want to take just a break real quick. I'm going to get a different drink.
Oh
and
yeah,
we'll
that'd be
continue.
great.
It is
Thanks.
7:07 Central. I'm going to say at 10:10 we can come back. Sound good?
All right. Yep.
Awesome.
right. Let me take a look at the comment section here, or Q&A rather.
Yeah, man. Like I got a little lost because when he was doing the performance, first thing I thought of was like Bruce Leroy and like the echoing motions, the echoing hand motions, and then like I heard his character with the Bruce Leroy echoing hand motions singing "Let It Go" from Frozen. So like that image consumed me. So I was trying to read something, and I didn't even know what I was trying to read because that thought just completely took over my mind.
That's pretty funny. So we don't have any current questions, but we did receive some comments about like what our party makeup was, and a hello from Baptiste.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. So do you guys have any questions or anything about what you've gone through so far that may not have been very clear?
If anything that's not clear to me, I'm just chalking up to not being clear to Gromer. I'm good.
Perfect. So we'll continue. Like I said, I originally planned for 3 hours. If you guys want to go a little longer, I'm okay with that. If you guys want to do it as a two-part, that may end up being a good possibility anyways, because there is pretty much the whole searching for the crown thing that we haven't even gotten to yet.
Hey, whatever's clever, bro. I'm a trooper.
Okay.
I
So
used to run 8-hour games every week.
I'm
Yeah,
used
I
to
haven't
doing
played a
like
long
8,
game
12-hour games.
in like years. But that's always how I used to roll.
Yeah,
But ever since this internet format, it's always been like 3-hour games.
And that's mainly due to viewers, is why a lot of us do it the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think what I want to do is get together a group and do like a 12-hour session that's recorded, and then break it into hour chunks and be like, okay, here you go, this is for the YouTube version, but still get that long game.
Nice.
So,
All right, we need to figure out what we're doing with these slaves. I kind of don't want them to be tortured and killed by our fault. Rosina's just looking out for her family and trying to become free. The other guy's basically our friend. But we need to take care of this fast and then go get the crown.
Yeah.
she still hasn't told us what she was looking for. That may help us in our endeavors, or protect us in the long run.
As you are talking about it, she turns around and she says, "I'll never tell you. Malin will kill my family if I do. At least this way only I die."
She won't reveal what she was looking for, right?
Not freely.
I'll cast Detect Thoughts.
Okay. What she was looking for, it appears, is the treaty that you were supposed to be bringing with you. Apparently, he thought it would be a pre-written treaty, not that Cytherin would actually be writing a formal treaty at the event. So Malin was trying to buy time by trying to acquire the treaty itself.
I'll use message to tell that telepathically to Cytherin if he wants to create one, a fake one.
It's a really fucking good idea. Yeah, I'll go ahead and go write a fake contract.
Maybe one that doesn't have our names on it, so it's like not valid at all, but at least you will think so.
You know, Cytherin, that most of the people that live in the Sonnegeist, especially these tribesmen, they don't read very well. Like, there are stewards that are taught to read the Southern tongue, but for the most part, they use a vocal tradition, so they don't really have a whole lot for written traditions. So chances are, if you were to give this to Rosina, even if she looked at it, she wouldn't know what's on it.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to write a fake contract. Instead, I'm going to write fake notes. Notes that seem like notes that I would have taken during the exchange.
Okay.
On those notes, I write, so I head it with, meeting with Camus, the Shardstrorm Lord, blah, blah, blah. And I sort of write, that Lord Camus was searching for this crown, that he placed a lot of faith in his most trusted general, that he seemed to place a lot of faith in his most trusted general, Malin Shardtooth, that the Convocation was unable to reach an arrangement with him, and that they will be leaving and will absolutely refuse to investigate the crown or to have any dealings with him.
Okay, so you kind of make it sound like there was like
I'm making it sound like nothing really happened, like the Convocation isn't getting involved at all in the whole situation.
Okay. So, yeah, you put it together for her, and then you can seal it and everything and make it look official. When you hand it to Rosina, she looks at you very confused because you've pretty much given her a chance at life.
I was gonna say, like, maybe we should make her think she's stealing it.
We don't have time for that shit. I sort of look at you and I shrug my shoulders and I say, the only way that this woman is going to stay alive and save her entire family from certain death is to bring this guy back a contract. And so she'll do it. And I look back at her and I stare her in the eyes and I say, you'll do it.
She grabs the paper, or she holds the paper tight, and she nods, and she starts to get up if Gromer isn't going to push her back down.
If I'm led into the ruse, then I'll let her up.
Yeah, it looks like they're
wink at you.
purposely giving her the paper and telling her to go, kind of deal. She'll get up and then she'll take like a sideways look at you as she leaves the tent, and she'll just disappear into the night unless you guys track her down or anything.
Shit. Yeah. The other option is she tells him everything that happened in the tent. By then we'll have the crown.
That's true. That would be an option, but then with how hostile this culture is, she would definitely be setting herself up to get killed, regardless. Yeah. So it's actually in her best interest to go with the lie that you've set up for her.
Hopefully. Yep.
Gromer just said, they're gonna kill her, right?
And I look at him and it's like, I guess we can't save everyone. That's one thing we learned. We can't save everyone.
Kalenthel, thank you for your service. We will not forget that it was thanks to you that this whole scheme was undone. The Convocation is in your debt.
I'm but a humble servant. If I have served my masters well, then I have done my job well. One day I will earn my freedom. And he'll start picking up pieces of Gromer's armor and putting it back together, which, as he does, he says, I am sorry, Lord Irondust. I was unable to prevent your armor from being scuffed. I will ensure that it has been cleaned.
Armor is meant to be scuffed. Gives it character. And he'll just, with him, start setting the armor back up. Not letting him do it alone.
And have I seen that anybody uses gold here as a currency in this tribe? Maybe when they trade with other tribes?
They use barter and gold because gold is enough of a currency within the world that it's effective. Barter is viewed as a little bit better than gold. Like, you're more likely, if you find someone to buy like 3 chickens from, the price that you'll pay for those 3 chickens are going to be more expensive than what it would cost for you to buy a goat and trade a goat for 3 chickens.
Mm-hmm. Got you. Nonetheless, since I have no sort of bartering materials with me, actually, I do, and I will take out the plume of this Order of Stewards, which is a very finely crafted fountain pen, and I will bestow it upon Calenthel. Since I'm a half-elf, it's actually of elvish make, and I will nod to him and say, "May this serve you in any way that you see fit." Sort of understanding that he probably can't write with it, but that he can probably fetch a good price for it, bartering somehow.
Okay. He says, he turns to you and he says, "I thank you, but it would be improper for someone of my station to accept such a gift."
I don't think they're allowed to own items.
No, they're not. Sit there and...
One day, you will be free. And on that day, you will be able to use this. And I sort of clasp my hand around his and say, "Take it, not as a convoker to a servant, but as a half-elf to his fellow half-elf brother." And I sort of close his hand forcefully and push it towards him, knowing that as a slave, he's not really allowed to directly disobey my orders.
He'll take it and he'll feel conflicted, and you can tell. He'll eventually kind of tuck it into his robes. Sit there, and you know that there is a way out for him as a slave. There's actually a couple ways. He can swear his loyalty and become a warrior under Camus or whoever the leader is at that time, or he can be bought. Though buying a slave is quite expensive. It's not something that is outside of the realm of possibility for you guys, because you all have quite a bit of funds available to you.
I haven't spent any of my 5,000 gold. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how much is a slave anyway?
They are 100 gold, which is quite expensive, but in the long run, compared to the money that you have...
Achievable.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but we're not going to wake up the Khan at 3 in the morning to try to buy slaves from him. So instead, let's go get this fucking crown.
Yeah. And we should try to find a plan on cursing it or dispelling everything on it. Because if we give it as an item, he will believe what he will believe, but at least he won't go on a murderous rage. Otherwise, we can't bring that back as it is.
That's a really good idea. I think we should put our hand on it first.
Yeah,
we might learn stuff along the way, and the situation might change. We need to get it before the general Malin, before he gets it anyways.
Yep.
And he's close. So crown first, plan second.
So you guys managed to pack up your gear, and Gromer, given the condition, you can wear your armor at night. However, during the day, you should stash it away. So when you guys set off, if you want to be fully armored, you can.
Oh, I'm guessing it's a lot colder at night.
Yeah, it's pretty bitter cold. Like the servant, when he got clothing for you guys, he was able to find like some furs and things like that you can augment your, like, slip into into your chafe gear to keep you warmer.
Talenthal is the G, man.
He's a good servant.
Yeah. You have to hook him up. Yeah, but the armor being like a second skin for Gromer, he'll throw the armor on and then like the cloth and furs on top of it to be doubly sure that he doesn't freeze his little dwarven tushy off.
Okay.
All right, so
So
we head out to the Griffins, and we basically just set off to wherever that zone on the map was. That he said that his spies were pretty close, or his agents were pretty close to getting it, and the other guy knew where they were looking. So we do.
So you
I
can
guess
get
we'll
to
just fly over there.
you can get to the ruins in a night because you're flying, and you can take a very direct path. It's normally a 2-day travel. But you did mention about going over to the trader that was buried. Did you still want to do that?
Oh, I think it's worth it.
Quickly then, and we land fast.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
said I sort of remembered where it was, right?
Yeah, you do. It wasn't that far off
All right.
from actually the destination that you're going to. So you land there, and it's about an hour's away from the actual ruins itself. You can see it from where you're at. There seems to be some torches and some people that are walking around outside of the ruins that you can clearly see. I imagine that Gromer's the one that's like just gazing into the distance and seeing this as the two of you walk over to where the skull that sticks out of the dirt that's been picked away by insects and birds is.
Well, that's always a pleasant sight.
Yeah. um. So we'll cast speak with dead on the corpse.
Okay.
I'm allowed 5 questions, so
Perfect.
I will ask first. Why did they deserve that fate? What happened?
The skull takes on like this ghostly visage of the person that was there before, almost kind of floating over the actual like what's left of the skull here, and it looks at you as you ask it what did he do to deserve this fate? And he says, I spoke the truth. Camus did not appreciate the truth that I speak, so he left me here for the scorpions.
What truth did you spoke?
I told him of the curse on the crown, that it would drive him mad and he would kill all in his path, even his own people, if it came down to him acquiring more land and more power.
Does everybody listens to the spell as well? I mean, I'm
I
asking.
believe you're the only one who gets it.
All right, so I would tell the others about what the dead is telling me. So he knows about the curse, yet he seeks the crown for the exact reason.
Camus does or Malin does?
Sorry?
Camus knows of the curse, or does
Yeah,
Malin know of the curse?
Camus. This guy warned him of it. He didn't want to listen. So even if Camus is accepting a truce, he might not respect it when he's mad.
Camus, he agreed with you. Paper, I have it here, and I shake the contract, that he would not invade the Southlands if we brought him the crown, which is what we were worried about. But the vision that Gromer showed me, at high cost, I think it's the spirits telling us that if we bring him the crown, he'll turn his eyes north, still bound by the contract. He won't have lost his honor. And we, on the other hand, if we don't fulfill our end, we'll have lost the convocations. It is not the ways of the envoys.
I know, but I'm concerned that if the curse will make him forget about the contract, Because at the end of the day, that's just a piece of paper.
The curse drives him to seek what he desires at any cost, right?
Pretty much.
Camus desires the north.
And our contract with him does not state that he can't go there, which is a problem.
You do know that the north, after a bit, does become like snow and tundra and things like that. Eventually, it runs out of resources, which is what Nathan is getting at. Is eventually Camus may turn his eyes back to the south again, and the curse may be strong enough to make him just completely ignore his traditions and honor.
Aye, good point, my friend. I hadn't had your foresight. Well, what else can this dead man tell us? Has he interacted with Malin at all?
Have you speak with Malin?
No, I went to Lord Camus first. Malin is a general. It would be improper to speak of threats to the chieftain with a general. Sorry, with a Khan.
He didn't go there. He first went for Camus, and then this happened. How did you learn about the curse?
I was a scholar. I read inside an inscription inside the ruins to the south, warning against the folly of rulership. That crown had led one empire to its death, and that it would lead would lead all others to their own. That crown brings ruination and death wherever it goes.
And I conveyed the answer back as well. One last question.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you have one?
Ask him if there's anything. Ask him if there's anything we can do to let his soul rest in peace. A last wish that he could never express in the face of the scorpions.
Any last wish you have to have peace on your mind?
Destroy the crown.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like, bring a message to my mom.
Nope, he senses the danger and the direness of that crown.
And I look
Because
long.
what he's basically letting you know is the crown will do more than just have Camus go conquer lands. He will do it no matter what the cost is to him. So it will damn his own people.
And yeah, I look at I sit there and as he answered me previously that the crown was not that much of a problem, and I tell him that his last wish is to destroy the crown.
We'll see what we can do then. It's most informative. Good call, Nathan. Shall we? We should not linger here.
And I talk with you a little bit more, and I say, so technically we have to bring him a crown. It doesn't have to be the crown. And I look at you because on my end, I'm a diplomat, so at any cost that I can convince him to make the deal stand, but you are more of a scribe, a man of law, and I ask you, like, what are the boundaries we have here with the convocation?
Well, you engaged in the blood ritual, which is a form of contract that is typical of these lands. When the convocation travels and engages in a form of contract that is of the lands we are in, we consider those contracts to be as formal as our own written contracts that we have in our homeland. So you are bound by the convocation law to your word if you choose to give it as an envoy, even under conditions of another clan. Perhaps our best bet would be to dispel the magic on the crown. Give him the crown, which is the correct artifact, but somehow remove the curse.
Well, this
That
is
would be honoring the contract.
Do we have to give him the whole crown?
To ensure peace, it would be best to give him the crown incomplete.
Well, it is an old crown. It could have been damaged with the year.
I mean, why is the GM giving me sort of meta knowledge over here? I'm willing to deal with every consequence.
I'm giving Cytherin. I'm giving Cytherin this knowledge.
Yeah, and I'm asking him like, would that be fine with the law?
I kind of look at you guys, and I sort of shake my head like, obviously these two jokers are trying to find a really fast workaround for this, and don't have the understanding of the full weight of being an envoy for the convocation and what that implies. But I don't say it out loud, and instead I kind of just swallow and say, like I said before, step one, get the crown before Malin does. We'll figure out what to do with it once it's in our possession. Is that all right with you guys?
We can't cook the hare before we catch it.
And Griffin back?
Yes.
And so I'm sort of ruminating over this entire thing inside my head while we're on the Griffinbacks, just trying to come up with a solution to these guys' this problem. And at one point, while we're flying, you hear him sort of just like almost half shout a thing in Elvish and be like, "How could you give your word so easily?"
So, as you guys travel, you get a little closer, and you can see that there are some of these Stormwalker warriors that are outside the ruins with torches. You're able to see an entrance in from the top. The building itself is kind of like half cocked out of the sand. It's been slanted over by time. The structure itself is a very old form of architecture that's not repeated anymore. Being part of the Convocation and an order that's been around for a long time and access to great libraries, you know it to be some of the structures, or some of the same style of structure that the Khazran Empire once used.
And there are patrols, right?
I'm sorry, there are what?
There were lights around, people patrolling?
There's some of the Stormwalker warriors that are kind of like walking around the building itself. They seem to be looking for a way in. Since they're on the ground, they haven't noticed the way that you guys have seen in, which is from the top. You haven't gotten close enough to alert them of your presence just yet.
Let's see. I'm going through a list of spells in my head of seeing if I can perhaps get us in there easily.
Gomer is sort of just trying to usher Hannibal down, and Hannibal is just like dipping down slightly and, fighting, foolishly going in.
Okay. Do you want to go in just as normal, or do you want to make a stealth check to ensure that you don't get picked up?
Might as well go stealth 3, yeah? If...
Alright, I'm going to look for the least, from what I'm seeing on these Griffinbacks, the least stealthy of the group. Which would maybe be Gromer.
Oh, that is quite obvious.
Yeah, it's quite possible that Hannibal is probably the least stealthy. Sun Baron's a close second because Sun Baron believes that people should pay attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Griffins, Hannibal is actually cautious, but Gromer is a little reckless. That's why they're having a little dispute of Gromer just wants to go in and go down and get it over with.
I quickly reach out from the back of my griffin and touch Gromer and cast greater invisibility on him.
Okay. Since he's mounted, I'm going to say it goes to the Griffin as well.
Awesome.
And with that, you guys are able to kind of bring yourselves in a little closer. And I still would need a stealth check just to cover the group, if anybody wants to kind of lead the group action there.
I'm happy. I'm pretty stealthy. If you.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Basically, what you're going to do is point out, like the DC is a little bit higher because you're doing it for everybody, but basically you're like, okay, everybody turn now, move this direction, that sort of thing. You're guiding them in.
All right. I am pretty stealthy. Oh, well, that's a 12.
Okay.
But it's a natural 1.
You're going to hear some shouts from the desert dweller, or the Stormwalkers that are down on the ground, and you hear kind of this bestial growl. As you look down, and your eyes immediately go to that person that did the growl, and it's this half-orc with this great axe that's just like shouting at you in the air. You know that that's Malin Shardtooth. The Stormwalkers immediately start breaking out short bows, and they're firing up into your direction. We're gonna say that.
Oh shit! All right, guys.
We're gonna say that the first volley, some of them are going to hit you, but we'll go ahead and do combat after that.
Sorry, my bad.
You're each going to take 14 points of damage from short bows. Except for the invisible one, because they don't know to aim at Gromer.
Awesome. And since this is greater invisibility, you can, like, if you attack or if you do any actions, it stays on. However, I need to make a concentration check to not drop the spell when I take the damage, unless it's on my Griffin. If they're shooting from below, would that? Or is that 14 damage to Sithaerin?
I'm gonna say it's 14 to you.
Okay.
They're gonna target you directly.
So what do I have to do here? I'm not too sure about concentration. What do I get to add?
It's your proficiency bonus, your Constitution modifier, plus I think you get the D8 if I remember right. Nelson, you've done spellcasters.
It's a D20 roll plus your Constitution modifier. And I think the DC is
half the damage, right?
Plus the spell level, I think.
Yeah. I know that's what the DC is. I'm just trying to remember how it goes.
So I think I might have failed that, because half the damage would be 7 plus 4, 11.
Yeah.
And my check was 6 plus my Constitution, which is 2, so that's 8. If I get my proficiency, I make it. But if I do not get my proficiency, I do not make it.
I don't see it listed in my GM screen, so I'm going to say, yeah, you should have your proficiency bonus.
All right. So you see like a flicker as these arrows just pierce through Sithaerin. But he grunts and focuses. His eyes just sear inwards, and you remain invisible.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get some initiatives. Let me get this screen out of the way. Need a bigger desk. All right, bad guys are going to do terrible.
I'm just going to grab this. So I got a 16. I mean, I put it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I put
Perfect.
mine in the chat too. Sorry, I got 19.
Perfect. Let me. 19.
No, 19.
8. That's convenient because that's the way I have you guys actually written down for your character names. And then my bad guys. Baddies. All right, perfect. So there are four I say archers, but they're the warriors, and then there's also the half-orc Malin, who's down there on the ground. Malin has a rhino with him, if that matters. That's his steed of choice.
All right.
They launch the volley of arrows, and first up is going to be Cytherin.
All right. Cytherin, these arrows transpierce him, and he focuses, and he sort of crosses his arms and goes like this, and from his sleeves he produces 2 paintbrushes, one in each hand. And you see that the paintbrushes' tips are a bright red color, and he sort of stands in his barding on the griffin and starts to swirl them around him in this motion, and you see that the paintbrushes are actually leaving traces behind them of sort of this glowing paint, this glowing light that hangs in the air. And as he draws this this sort of shape around him and his griffin is flying forwards, it leaves a trail behind him until eventually the drawing ends into the face of a massive dragon, and so there's just this dragon appearing behind him. And as he finishes the last drop, he points both paintbrushes forward, and the dragon just rushes forwards straight towards the ground, towards these guys, and I'm casting Fireball.
Okay, perfect.
I'm trying to get as many of them as I can in the blast of the
Yeah, you're
Fireball.
gonna hit all of them. They're all clustered together at this point because they all grouped up to launch the volley at you.
Awesome. So those that fail their save take 14, and those that manage take 28. The opposite of that. Those that fail take 28. Those that manage take 14.
Take 28, you said?
28 on a failed save.
Okay.
And it's dexterity?
Yep.
Yeah, dexterity. And my DC is...
Let's see if Malin makes it because he's actually got some saves that are worth something.
My DC is 17.
Yeah, the archers all failed. Malin made it, and it's 14, he said.
17. My DC is 17. Making it 14 damage, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the dragon like hits the ground and it creates like this smear on the ground, and then all of a sudden the flames raise up from the smear, and that's what actually produces the fireball. You see the archers kind of reel back in pain. Malin just kind of like swings his axe through the flames like it's going to do something.
And with a flick of my wrist, I'll send one droplet of paint flying towards my buddy Gromer. And as it goes towards you, you almost don't notice it at first, but as it impacts you sort of like a paintball, it infuses into your skin, imbuing you with a sense of determination, and you can go ahead and take a D10 inspiration die that you can apply to an attack, a saving throw, or a skill check. And that's my turn.
Perfect. Gromer,
I'm
you
staying
are
aloft
next up.
if I can. Yeah.
All right, that was for Nathan, right?
That was for Gromer.
The inspiration was for you.
All right. Since Gromer is invisible and nobody can see him, nobody knows exactly where this comes from, but three spectral griffins, not large, small spectral griffins. They look like mere cubs manifest from the light of the moon, and all head flying, diving towards Malin. I'm rolling 3 pairs because I'm invisible. So a crit, an 18, and a 21.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and do some damage. That's your Eldritch Blast, right?
Yes, those are my Eldritch Blasts. So they all hit.
What was the last one? That was the lowest one.
The lowest one was an 18.
Yeah, they're all gonna hit.
All right, so that's, and then one extra, but those are D8s, not D10s. So that's 4d10. So that's 9, 10, 14 plus 9 is 23 points of force damage.
23.
So these spectral griffins all, dive towards Malin and make swooping strikes, clawing at his flesh and pecking at him before swooping back up and flying towards the sky and simply fizzling away into nothingness.
Okay. So the Malin it gets impacted, and you can see it kind of stagger him for a moment. The flames of the fireball are finally starting to die down a bit. And Nathan, it's your turn.
Yeah, Nathan will try to protect himself from the arrows, like holding his hand over his head as it would do something, and gets one right in the ribs. And you said the opening is on the top of the room, right?
Yeah, it is.
So, as Nathan is not either a fighter or a long-range fighter, he would actually aim towards the opening, and as the volley of arrow passes, he just whispers to his griffin, like, the Sun King, Act 3. And on that, the griffin goes like, ah! And puts its wing on his chest and starts spiraling around in the air, falling as it's to its death. And as we get closer to the opening, I will be casting Featherfall.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna hit this rooftop and kind of slide into this open doorway, and the griffin just smashes down the staircase, and you find yourself in an empty room, dust kind of billowing inside the air, and that's where the movement finishes once everything's all done. For those of you that are still in the air, you witnessed this whole thing because, as soon as the griffin screamed like it was dying, you all went, "Is he dying?"
And I get off the griffin and I start clapping like, "Beautiful, marvelous, Sun Baron."
The griffin gets up and takes a wing, like it's doing a bow, and it waits for you to give it more praise, and it kind of plumes itself
and
up.
I do
some
so.
more. The archers will go next, and they're going to target the one that they can see. What is your armor class, by the way?
17.
17. All right. Let's see. I'm looking at the wrong one. Give me a second here. Here we go. One will miss, but one will get a crit. See. Do you have anything like DR that I should break up these attacks, or just tell you the total?
No, just
Okay.
give me the number.
9 points of damage.
From the crit?
Yeah, the crit's included in there. I do, however, need you to make a
concentration again.
A dexterity save for me.
Oh.
Actually, you need 3 dexterity saves because they're all doing the same thing.
I'm pretty good at dexterity, I think. All right. So I'm going to choose to succeed the second one.
Okay.
Using my Convoker ability. I have something that allows me to automatically succeed a save. It's not entirely worded if I have to choose to do so before I roll or after I roll, but before I know if it's a success or not, or after I know if it's a success or not.
I was going to say, since the way that it normally works, I would assume that you can roll, and then before you know the result, you can choose to use the ability.
That's how
normally
the
how
luck
those
feat
abilities work.
works. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that on my second save. I'm going to choose to succeed it. And then I have a 27 and a 17.
Okay. Those are both well enough to be able to succeed. You know that what they were attempting to do was dismount you. They for hood off kind of reasons. Basically, they're battle masters and they're using trip on you.
That was close. As yeah, the arrows just come flying towards me and they sink in. Actually, they're aiming for the part where my leather straps attach me to the griffin, and they break through those, and I go flying. My leg goes flying off, but as I'm about to fall, my griffin gives a loud screech and dips under me in an impossible seeming maneuver to sort of catch me as the magic of the convocation flows through our bond together and allows us to maintain when all hope seemed lost.
All right, perfect. Grumber, you're getting an eye on these guys because next up is going to be the half orc who's you're too far away at this point to be hit by the half orc, but you can see that the half orc Malin has picked up a javelin and he's just lining up a shot, waiting for Cytherin to get close enough to be hit by a javelin. Watching these warriors, these are not like your standard infantry units. These are elite warriors. Between the two of you, you just probably don't have the firepower to continue this battle much longer. It's either got to be done decisively, or they're just not going to be worth you sticking around out here for. From what it looks like, they weren't able to find a way in just yet.
Did I cast a fireball at them? Did it look like they were pretty heavily damaged, like they were hurting bad, or
they took the full impact and they seemed pretty okay?
Shit. I'm up, right?
Gromer, or I'm sorry, yes, you are.
So I'm still going to go ahead and cast a spell. I'm going to cast Ivard's Black Tentacles, which is a spell that, so basically what I'm doing is I take my two paintbrushes and hold them downwards like this and just plunge them straight downwards, and drips of paint just come shooting out of them into the ground below. And from those two spots where the paint hits, it spiders out like a spider web, and the paint just comes searing up from the ground and encircling these guys in a bunch of tentacles that will prevent them from moving, hopefully, and following us.
Okay. And you said the DC is 17?
Yep.
Oh, these archers are so bad. Yeah, your tentacles wrap up and start grabbing on all of them. Like, Malin had the spear, and it looked like he was drawing back to throw at you, and then this tentacle lashes up and grabs Malin's arm and then pulls him down to the ground off balance, and he just starts screaming, and you see the archers are getting pulled down, their bows are being brought down. This is a good chance for you to make your break in.
Awesome. So they take 9 damage unless they save.
They all failed.
So everybody is going to take 9 damage, and they're restrained. And in order to free themselves from the restraint, they will have to use their action to make a strength or a dexterity check, not a save.
Okay.
So they're stuck here, and each turn they fail their check. If they use their action to do so, they take another more damage.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that this can sort of hang out. Its range is only 90 feet. But I'm going to try to go ahead and land over by where the entrance is. Hopefully that'll be within 90 feet. So.
Yeah, you'll still be within 90 feet at that point.
All right. So I'll do that. And as soon as this happens, though, your Gromer and his griffin Hannibal become visible again.
Okay.
So
Gromer,
that would be my move to go over by the temple.
Gromer, you're up. You can see that they're being restrained by these black inky tentacle things.
Yeah. I'm talking, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So Gromer becoming invisible sort of as a final farewell to make sure, that another deterrent. Gromer swoops by them, and on the path to following his fellow Convokers, he extends a hand, and the Saiyans sort of whip up by the tentacles, and a nice little warm, cozy fire erupts beneath Malin as he summons a bonfire beneath his feet.
Okay. And he's going to be pinned there, so how much damage does it do every round?
It does 3d8.
3d8. Okay. Let me do some quick rolling to get them out of things out there. See how long it takes them to free themselves.
So that first one's only 10.
Okay.
Ah.
All right. So.
I mean, if we have time to meta chat.
All right. So
yeah, if we have time to meta chat.
The archers will all take another round of tentacle damage, please.
14.
Okay. Let's see. One will get out. So I need damage for a third round of tentacle damage.
11.
11.
And technically, the turn they get out, they still take damage.
Okay.
Yes, because if you start your turn there or you enter it for the first time, you take the 3d6.
Okay.
Yeah. And it counts as difficult terrain while you're moving through it.
Yep. I need more damage.
5. I'll
5?
just give you 5 of them, and then you can decide.
Okay.
So 5, 11, 6, 9, 13.
Okay.
And let me check the time on this. Oh yeah, up to a minute.
Oh man, one of them's gonna die out here.
And he said we couldn't take them.
Yeah, maybe I should cast another fireball for good measure.
They're just rolling so poorly. There we go. They're finally out now. Okay. Yeah, they're pretty messed up. You guys have made it in. I assume that you're just going to concentrate on your spell as long as you know that you're within distance so that you can keep that mess going on outside for them.
Exactly. And also so that they have a hard time following, keeping them out there.
Now that you're inside this structure, you can see that there's some different paintings and things like that have been burned off the walls. There's like this thick layer of black dust. There's also like kind of freshly soot in the air, thanks to Sun Baron's performance, who's now trying to clean himself because he's covered in it.
And I'm helping him.
There is an exit to go, or an entrance to go deeper into this building on the other side of the room. The terrain is considered difficult because the building itself is tilted while you're inside here.
So is there enough room for our griffins to be kind of exploring this with us?
No, not past this room. This room's actually, because of the way you guys came in, you tucked in your wings and you were able to get through the doorway. They could tuck in their wings and travel down the hallways just like you can, but if you get into trouble in a hallway, they're just going to be in the way.
You could guard the entrance.
Are any of our griffins pretty badly hurt?
No.
Okay. I'll go ahead and cast Cure Wounds on myself then.
I'll just let Hannibal do Hannibal, and the cautious thing Hannibal would do would be to get out and get some distance.
Okay. So yeah, you let Hannibal know that with like a sturdy nod, the two of you exchange kind of a look, and Hannibal just shoots out that door he came in. And Hannibal makes a ton of noise as he goes, just to try and see if he can draw off some of them. Because Hannibal is quite a bit faster than those warriors that are on foot, so he feels confident that he'll be able to lose them anyways. You'll hear more struggling outside as you guys kind of look around the room. Would you like to go any further?
Yeah, before going further, you said there's like soot and stuff on the wall.
Yeah, there is.
The first thing that Gorman's gonna do is start wiping some of the soot off the wall. You said they were paintings and stuff.
Yeah, there's some like burned up paintings. They're fresco paintings, so fire doesn't hold well for fresco paintings because it's basically egg yolks and minerals. It's quite badly damaged. You can see that what was once here appears to be kind of a cityscape that was painted, but chunks of it are just completely eroded away. It's of no real value anymore.
All right, and with the soot he has in his hand, he'll just start blowing into his hand, and as he does so, the soot begins to glow and expand and take the form of an axe.
Okay.
I'll inform my griffin to stand guard or at least stand watch, but not to try anything stupid.
To leave if it gets too dangerous? Okay.
Yeah, but I try to phrase it in a good way.
You're like, don't let your lordship be bothered by commoners.
Yeah.
My griffin, I would tell Grognard to sort of hide and blend in with the rocks here, since his plumage allows. Is sort of the same color. Just find like a perch, but sort of where he can blend into the wall and try to hide.
He'll kind of crawl himself up into this alcoved area, and it's pretty good. It's not like phenomenal, but it's a pretty good hiding spot for him. Being a natural predator, griffins are pretty understanding when you tell them to take up like a hunting position where it's stealthed out.
Awesome.
Okay, so what next?
They won't be held forever.
Am I muted? No, yeah, I'll proceed.
Okay. So you travel down this hallway, and it's a little bit slow go just because of the tilt of the building, and you end up finding yourselves opened up into what appears to be a dining hall. There's a long table that's kind of busted up with age, and there's some silverware and things like that has been kind of thrown against the back wall. It looks like this building was actually forced over somehow. There's broken chairs and furniture around here, some ratted out tapestries and things, and you can see scorpions kind of crawl across the floors as you go along. There's a series of 3 doors to this room that are on the far side. There's 2 on the sides and then 1 in the back, which would continue you going straight.
Can we get an idea of how big the room is?
The room itself, it's about 35 feet long and about 20 feet wide. It's quite a big dining hall.
Okay.
And it has one massive table that's been dumped over.
But I mean, the big room itself, like, would it take? How much time would I suspect it would take to look around everywhere? Was it quite big of a compound, or?
Just venturing a guess from the rooms that you've seen so far, the building itself is probably pretty big. Looking through this room thoroughly, it would take you at least an hour, and people would catch up to you by then. It doesn't look like anything is really out of place or anything like that. And you figure if raiders were to come through here or scavengers, they would have already hit this area. Like looking around, you don't see things that are still here. Is like there's a candelabra that's all beat up and isn't worth anything, but if there was still like silverware and stuff like that, that's all gone if it was of any value.
All right.
Just a quick question. We landed through an entrance that was in the roof that it seemed like nobody else had found, right?
They hadn't made it to the roof. They don't have the proper climbing gear to get up there very easily.
But we saw these raiders. They were sort of trying to get into the building and hadn't really managed yet. And we're inside the area.
They're trying to figure out a way from the lower level.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But there has obviously been some other people
Someone's
in
made
this.
it. Yeah,
okay,
someone's
sorry.
made
I
it
was
in
just
there.
confused about that.
There's like desert scavengers that are trying to make money by collecting some of the artifacts from the Khazran Empire. Like there's people that do that, like grave robbing and stuff like that all the time.
Quick question: the hall leading into this room was it an archway or a door?
Archways.
It was an archway, and we do have.
Well, there was a single door that led into this room, but
Yes.
you had basically the area you landed was probably a veranda or a balcony, and then you came into a what would have been a sitting room, because you're kind of piecing this together as you go through, and then there's a hallway that goes to the dining area, a single door that you had to pass, but that door was already like knocked off its hinges.
All right, and there's a large table. So Gormer just turns to his allies and says, "This will make a decent defensible position."
Let's hope we don't get to that.
I'd rather the solution of flight than the solution of fight. Malin will take care of himself. He's not a problem the Convocation needs to deal with. Once we have the crown, we'll have done our duty. He is not of our concern. Otherwise, he would already be dead in the ground. And I sort of...
We can see him coming or going, but I think we're going to see him again.
Hopefully not today, so let's move quickly, right?
Indeed.
Let's go then.
Okay. So you guys begin exploring. There's more on this level, which you guys kind of
probably
burn through
split up.
quickly. Yeah, you guys kind of split up and you burn through this level pretty quickly. It looks like this level's been picked over. You find that there is some different ways to get to the lower levels, and it looks like the lower levels seem to be less rated than the upper levels.
All right, that's where we're heading.
So as you guys kind of make your way through, you start to hear like footsteps and things like that coming behind you, but it seems that Malin and his men are splitting up as well, so it's buying you a little bit of time because they're trying to search and scavenge as they go.
I sort of stop everybody and we say, we could take them out one by one. Not have to deal with them all together later, on our way out of here.
I'm
Is
afraid
it worth it, or should we push on?
I think I don't like the idea of having a competition here. And I look at the dwarf, he's the fighter, and what do you think?
We leave it in the air. It's a chance we take. Chance that they'll have the defensible position on the way out.
I sort of nod, turn, and stealth, and start heading back the other way. And what I'm aiming to do is, since we heard some footsteps of people spreading out, is try to maybe perceive someone who's on their own and then sneak up on them.
Okay.
If that's possible.
Yeah, so...
And,
So yeah, you're able to kind of find one of the archers. He's like shifting around some stuff. Like there's some debris that's blocking a door that he managed to find that you guys kind of passed over, and he's moving like a dresser out of the way as you approach him. He hasn't noticed you because of all the noise he's making.
All right. Quick question: is there anything that he is wearing made out of metal?
Yeah, he does
would
have
be
some.
Holding anything metal?
Yeah, he's got a what are they called? Khopesh. He's got a Khopesh. There we go. I was trying to think of the weapon. And he's got some metal plates that are kind of. He's got some different scars and things like that that are slid up underneath the plates to kind of silence them a little bit, but it's more or less chainmail. That's kind of the best way to describe it.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and aim for whatever metallic part of his chainmail is out, and just go ahead and cast the spell Heat Metal on him. Are my companions, were they able to get up in sort of with me without him noticing, or do you need a stealth check or something, or is anybody
he's not
following?
gonna notice you guys. You guys are going to be able to get the jump on him.
All right. So I kind of just go, and then I cast.
Okay. He kind of starts jerking at his armor, and he flips around, and he starts screaming. You can see that he's got like sucker marks on his face from the tentacles that had him earlier. He looks in pretty bad shape to begin with.
All right. So he just takes 2d8. I don't see any sort of save or anything for this spell.
It's a save to hold on to an item.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to drop it. Yeah. If he's wearing it and can't voluntarily drop it,
He just takes the whole damage. Yeah.
So I got 2 8s, so that's 16 damage.
Okay. He lets out a scream that turns into kind of a death throw as he hits the ground, because this guy was the one that was the most messed up. You can see that he's uncovered a doorway.
Nicely done. My Gavalt friend.
By the way, did we get a long rest between the tent and the runes? I think it was a 2 days.
It was a short rest.
It was a short
rest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to hide, because he screamed. So I'm assuming someone else is gonna be coming to this room.
Okay. What do you want to do for hiding? Do you want to move underneath some furniture, go through a doorway?
Yeah, I would probably just put my back to the doorway of the room.
Yeah.
Just sort of. Yeah.
So after about 2 minutes or so, you don't hear anybody coming. Apparently, he was far enough away from the others that they probably didn't hear him.
Sweet. I loot him.
You let out kind of this sigh of relief. When you go to loot him, he's got the sword on him. I don't know why I'm forgetting it.
And I imagine myself sort of looking through his stuff and kind of touching the metal on accident that's still pretty hot from my spell and going, and flip him over. A Khopesh.
He's got a Khopesh, a short bow, 12 arrows left, and he's got a couple potions on him. Which you can spellcraft those if you want to find out what they are.
Is there any sort of burial rites that they have that we know of?
Yes, Cytherin has been around long enough to know that as far as burial rites, they're typically burned.
Yeah, halfway there.
I'll give him a quick look. I'm not spending too much time on this.
You know that if you were to burn the
identify
body, it's just going to cause
them,
problems because it's going to fill up the room with smoke and stuff.
Yeah, so I got a 17 on my quick glance at these potions.
Okay.
18.
Unfortunately, there are no healing potions in the mix here. He probably drank those already. He has a potion that does a 4d6 breath weapon. Basically, Breath of the Dragon is what we call that potion. He's got another one that you know it to be Sword Sheen is what it's called. Basically, you pour it over a weapon, and it increases your critical chance.
Mm.
And then the last one that he has is a potion of enlarge person.
Ooh. That's awesome. I pocket those.
Okay.
Well, my friends, shall we continue the hunt?
We shall. Who leads?
Grummer will take a point in whatever direction we deem fit.
Okay. You could go back kind of the way you were going, which was to head down to the lower levels, or you could go through this new door.
Or we could seek out the other bowmen and kill them one by one.
That is also a possibility.
That's sort of what we set out to do. Do we want to finish that, or do we want to get distracted by this door?
You can still hear footsteps, maybe, but if no one heard him scream,
not really.
They're probably
moved.
pretty far.
Yeah.
Should we check the door?
Yeah, I think the race is on.
You know what? Grummer will start, because you said there was dressers and whatnot that were actually hiding this door,
It's
right?
like bedroom furniture and stuff like that that's in here.
Well, before checking the new door, I'd like to move some of that bedroom furniture in front of the old door.
Okay. Yeah, after a few minutes of kind of shuffling stuff around and bracing things, you're able to kind of put together all that furniture to block the door.
All right.
All right.
And then we'll proceed.
Okay. When you go into this closet here, you're going to notice that there is a secret door that's just cracked open. Probably from when the building tipped over, it went a little off its hinges. Gromer, since you're a dwarf, you'll notice that in its prime, this secret door would have been quite hard to find. Actually, it's very well done. It's built into the structure of the wall, so it looks very natural. It's just the way that the building got shifted over. It's now kind of like cocked adjacent, and it would take a strength check to kind of muscle it open again.
In any other situation, this would be a shame. So Grummer will try to, muscle that open.
Okay, I'll need a strength check.
Not 20.
Okay. So, you managed to open it, but here's the good thing with the natural 20. You managed to not break it in the process. You actually put it back on its hinge as you're opening it and get this thing open fully for you, and you can actually close it behind you. That way it kind of hides the way that you guys went.
So after we go in there and close it, Vern will just stop and pause, admiring, the stonework, the craftsmanship that went behind this secret door, seeing that now it's closed correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Purse his lips. Yep, that'll about do it. And then start proceeding.
So now that you're inside this this secret passage, it actually leads you to this staircase that's kind of built in between the walls, and it leads down to one of the lower levels. Once you get there, it opens up into a room that's about 40 foot by 40 foot. It's just kind of this clean room. Along the walls, you can see these beautifully crafted stone gears of different shapes and sizes that are just kind of like slowly moving along the walls with these little pegs and beams. You can find different ropes and things like that that are being strung across the room with a pulley system. Had you thought any different, this is what like it would be to be like a mouse inside of a very large clock is what it kind of feels like, because these gears are quite large. The floor is especially smooth and dark and divided into 4 even squares. In the center of the floor is a 12-centimeter disc, or a 12-inch diameter disc.
So there's a disc, and there's 4 squares. The floor is divided into 4 square-shaped zones.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Okay.
Correct.
And we're sort of arriving from a hallway that's like in the middle of 2?
The hallway is, we'll say the northern side. You come out the door. There's a single door there, and then there is a large double door on the opposite end of the room.
Awesome.
I guess we head to the door.
I'm sorry, it's not one single 12-inch disc. It's actually multiple on the roof and the floor.
So there are discs on the roof and the floor.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't smell good to me, guys. I'm not trusting this room at all right now.
Roman was already making his way towards the next door that he saw.
Perfect. So Gromer steps out, and Gromer, I'm going to say that you just kind of like, whatever, and walk your way through. The door behind you guys is going to shut, and you'll hear like this loud like latching sound as it locks in behind you. So all 3 of you are now inside this room. Gromer, you've stepped on a plate that sinks underneath your own weight, and you're like, oh, no.
Oh.
Is there anything I could do if I'm pretty quick, like as a reaction to the door starting to close, or is
You
that,
could do things
I
inside
didn't walk
the
in the
room,
room,
but
I
you
stayed
can't
by
get
the door.
out. That's the big thing.
Gotcha. Okay, I see.
Do you want to do anything inside the room in particular?
No, but I was thinking that maybe like if I were able to detect the doors closing on us and I act quickly enough,
No,
I would try to
it's
jam
like a
something like a
spring-loaded door.
piece of furniture, but it's like just yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it catches all of you
Um,
off. Like you're having this discussion about something's fishy, and then all of a sudden the door slams.
What do you mean
Gotcha,
something's
yeah,
fit?
no.
Oh, damn.
Did anything else happen besides the door closing?
You'll hear the latching behind the door. Once the pressure plate has been set off, you're going to hear the gears start winding along the wall, and the pulleys start moving. Nothing really shows any sort of difference other than those gears kind of moving around and becoming much more lively. There's a set of levers that are on the side wall that start clicking over into kind of an up position. As each one of them comes up, you'll hear like a click as it locks in.
Probably instinctively try to catch one and prevent it to go up.
Okay. So you run across the room and grab one of them, and it's got quite a bit of mechanism behind it, mechanical strength behind it. So it tries to pull you up. You're gonna have to make a strength save.
I get it. I got it.
Exactly.
And strength is not my forte. And yeah, that's natural 3, so.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, the lever that you're holding on, it like locks into position, and then you think to grab the next one, and it locks in position too, and you're like, well, that didn't work. You guys start to feel this odd sensation through your bodies as you see the gears and stuff start spinning much faster now.
Is anything happening in the room besides the gears on the walls moving? Like, is the floor or the ceiling or any part of the room moving besides? And can I perceive anything that I would perceive as like a threat, an immediate threat?
Yeah.
Is I guess what I'm asking.
Let's
Should I
go
roll
Let's go with a knowledge check.
a knowledge?
General
I have some
knowledge.
knowledge. I have some knowledge. I have some knowledge history and some investigation. Those won't help me, right?
You know what? Investigation will work. I'll let that work.
I'll go for investigation. That is a 17.
17. You're not going to notice it on you, but you're going to notice it on Gromer. Gromer, is not standing as tall as he normally is. He seems to be kind of like shrunk down a little bit. And then as you're kind of thinking about it, you feel that your coin purse is pulling on your belt much heavier than normal.
I think this room is trying to crush us. Don't you feel heavy, lads?
I
I'm winning
think...
full plate. I always feel heavy. He starts making his way towards the door still.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Gromer,
ahead and
you are
follow.
going a little bit slower. Like, you can notice it now. You're moving at about half your speed. For the two of you that don't wear metal armor, you can still move at your normal speed. But your metal possessions are being pulled to the floor. And the gears are now whining. Sorry, go ahead.
So realizing this, I'm going to try to... This might seem a bit desperate, but I'm going to take the weapon that I had taken off the guy that I looted, and just try to jam it into the gears and see what happens.
Okay. So you jam it inside one of the gears, and the gears themselves are a lot of stonework and things like that. You hear the sword just smash and jangle around inside there. It's kind of like if you put silverware inside a disposal, that kind of sound. And the sword just completely gets destroyed from these gears. Let's see, for you guys to maintain possession of any of your metals, I need a strength check of 12. If you'd like to get rid of your metal objects without going down with them, I need a strength check of 15.
I think I will let go of them. That counts rings as well, I suspect.
I'm sorry, say that
Like
again?
our Convoker rings?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Convoker. Or no, the Convoker rings look like they're made of stone. We'll say that. They're like a nice stone ring.
Alright, let's let go of these things.
Gormer goes to the ground.
And it's a strength check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you let them go.
Yeah,
Okay.
to not go with it.
Alright. Crap. 7.
Okay.
So I'm probably
When
not
I
fast
feel like
enough.
I'm
So
about
you
to
kind
go
of feel
down,
yourself go a little off balance, and then it's at that moment that you start to hear kind of this metal grinding sound coming from above.
when I see him go down, at that moment, right when I feel like we're about to be screwed, I reach out and touch him, and I dimension Doris out of the room onto the side of the double door, not the one we came into, the other one.
Okay.
And the way that looks is I sort of, with one hand I'm grabbing him, with the other hand I'm wielding my paintbrush, and I sort of draw a line through the air, and it splits open, and we dive inside, and we reappear, I'm going to say we reappear 10 feet beyond, or 5 feet beyond the double door that is on the other side of the room.
Okay.
I
Are
can
you
aim for
attempting
a
to be on
spot
the inside of the double door or the other side of the double door?
We're trying to get out of the room.
Okay. So you two are on the other side of the double door, and you see there's these big bars that have locked that door that seem to be mechanically locked in from the walls, one coming from the left and one coming from the right. And
I sort of frantically look around for any type of switch or something that could disable this that would be on this side of the...
Perfect.
And I kind of yell, "Hang in there, Gromer! We're coming for you!"
You hear like the sound of grinding metal on metal as spikes just rip out of the ceiling and smash into the floor around you. I need a dexterity save.
Oh, that's even better than the strength save.
Shit,
Probably not
Gromer.
gonna make it. 8.
8. Okay. Let me do some damages.
That's like a perfect setup. Oh, you have an 8? Shut-a-dong. Roll some damage.
Okay, 12, 15, 17 points of damage.
Oh shit.
That's piercing damage. And then for Cytherin and Will, or excuse me, Cytherin and Nathan, you are on the other side of the door looking for any sort of gears or mechanisms to try and disarm this thing, and you don't really see anything inside here that could help you. Gromer, I need a perception check, please. I was about to say spot. I don't know where I'm going with this system.
Okay, I'm not using dice stream no more.
That's fine. I said you can use regular dice.
But the last roll was a 1.
Okay. Yeah, you don't see an easy way out of this one. You start to hear grinding metal coming up from the floor beneath you as you start to feel very light.
Shit, man. Do you have? I'm like shaking. Nathan, we've got to get him out of there. He's our brother. Haven't you got anything? I blew my last spell to get us out of there.
And
You've
Nathan
got
was like
to find a way to
touching
help.
himself. Oh crap. On an instant, I'll cast Detect Magic and try to see if there's anything that catches my eye.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So, like, you can kind of sense past the door. The trap itself is not magical. It is mechanical in nature. But you can see Gromer, or at least sense where Gromer is inside the room, and he does not seem to be on the floor anymore.
Oh, where is he?
He's kind of just a bit above the floor now. And then, like, the camera shifts over for a second, and you see Gromer almost, like, swimming in the air for a second.
I don't know.
And you said there were these huge bolts, right, that are on this side of the door, right?
Yeah. That are locking it in place.
But there's no sign of any sort of mechanism that would, like, at least not on this side of the room, that would
Not
like
on this, not inside the hall
to the
that you're
bolts
in.
to be able to.
No, it looks like the bolts themselves come out of the wall and then latch into these loops that are on this stone door.
Oh man, oh man.
Oh shit! And there's no like, are there small? Well, no, this wouldn't help.
You said
What's
that
going
there's-
on in there? I'm banging on the door.
You said that there's
Helpless.
these levers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The area in which the levers are, were there spikes in that immediate area?
There were spikes that came down all over the room, including that area. The levers themselves have started once you started coming off the floor a little bit, they shifted down.
Okay.
And they shift one at a time, by the way. There's 4 levers.
From a round by round thing, I want to switch my axe, right? And the axe will start like waving away and glowing, and actually transform into a whip.
Okay.
And at the next available opportunity, I want to use the whip as to lash onto one of these things. Yeah, and pull myself in.
Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna make it kind of difficult. We'll say it's 17, and it's an attack roll.
Let me roll my red dice for this. Get some actual dice in play. Golly. Nah.
Okay. So like you whip and like it hits the lever,
Wait.
but it doesn't actually like, latch on.
You still have inspiration from me if you want to add a D10 to that.
That is true.
Oh,
You do still have.
Cool. Yeah. All I need is like a 2, and I'll actually get it. I get a 5. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you latch on to a gear actually with the inspiration, and it pulls, like, because the gear is winding, the gear actually pulls you to the wall without any real effort of your own, and you'll end up in front of those levers to kind of brace yourself. As the other two in the hallway are kind of searching around for anything.
If I don't see anything in the immediate vicinity, I'm dashing down the hall to see if there's like some sort of control room or something that might be a little further away that can help. Because these bolted doors...
We'll get back to that in a second.
Awesome.
For Gromer, the magnetism inside the room switches finally, and some spikes will come up out of the floor, which will be, let's see, one of them will hit you this time. So I need a reflex save. Or, sorry, dex save. I apparently am thinking in
17?
Pathfinder words today.
It's alright. 17 total?
Okay, so you'll take half damage from this one, so 2 points of damage. As, like, spikes slash past you. And you can feel that now that all the gears have gone down, they're going to start shifting, and 1 and 3 are going to go up, but the other 2 will stay down. You're going to see that the gravity kind of neutralizes in the middle as these gears are shifting. The square that you're on, it continues to pull gravity upward, or magnetize upward, I should say.
What I wanted to do was actually stand on the levers.
Okay. Yeah, you can use the levers to brace yourself, but to make them stop moving, I need a strength check.
Alright, well, I'll roll you a strength check.
Okay.
Golly. 7 total.
7 total? Okay. You're not going to be able to stop them. They're going to shift, and you're going to see that the square you're in plus the square that is opposite are going to maintain the magnetism in the upward direction, whereas the opposite two will go in the go downward. So spikes will just drop out, and like all these metal spikes that are floating in the air just keep like colliding and smashing into stuff. Any longer in this room, it's going to be disastrous for you. But now that you're close to the panel, you can see that there is a keyhole that's next to these gears. If you'd like to roll a perception check, you can scour the room while the gravity is shifting again, or the magnetism is shifting again, to see if you can find a key to match up.
And there's no writing over there, right?
No.
All right.
For the other two, what we're going to do is go ahead and get over to you. So sit there and you run down the hallway and you approach this door. It's this large double door that has some dragons on each side that seem to be facing inward. There's not really any sort of like panels or anything like that along the walls. It's really just this door, and that's all that's at the end of the hallway. By the way, you left Nathan in the dark by himself. Since he can't see in the dark.
Oh.
Well, I can always cast light, which I would probably do with anything like pebble or whatever. And as I see him actually dash through the corridor, I would try to follow him since there's nothing I can do right next to the door.
Yeah,
Nathan,
I think I would try to open
near
the door.
You hear just more clashing and clattering on the other side. It just sounds terrible in there.
Oh crap, oh crap. I don't want to use Speak of the Dead again today.
You said you're going to try and open the door?
I mean, if I get to a door, I would try to open it, I guess, just to see what's on the other side, if that can help us at all.
Okay. You have to pull the doors open. As you do, I need a reflex save, or dexterity save.
Alright, luckily I'm pretty good at that.
Oh, Lord.
23.
23. Perfect. All right, so that means you will not take full damage. Let's see, how much is this thing? Oh, jeez. Let's see. Divided by 2. You'll take 23 points of damage as you pull the doors towards you. Once the dragons line up their faces towards you, each of them releases a gout of flame at you.
Ouch. Sorry, how much did you say?
23, or sorry, 56, because it's 2 of them going off.
I take 56 on a succeeded save?
Yes, it would have been double.
Oh,
They're not horsing around with the traps down here.
shit. I get engulfed in these flames and just fall backwards to the ground, barely still breathing, and getting thrown back to the vision I had earlier today of just this sweltering, flaming heat.
Okay.
And then my fists sort of clench like this, and I raise my head up and I look in the room. I want to see if there's anything that can help my friend.
Sure. We'll get back to that in a second. I need the perception roll that Gromer rolled.
That was a 7.
7. Okay. You look around and there's just too much chaos inside the room for you to make out a key just yet. You know that that's probably what you got to do is stick the key in to get full control of these gears again.
Yeah, I'm gonna just in the frustration of it all, just being these flying spikes going all over the place, skewering me. Gromer's just gonna
another
grit
4
his
gonna
yeah,
launch into you.
he's gritting his teeth and he'll actually cast telekinesis.
Okay.
And like these the door.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if I could just tear the door off of.
Just
out
rip
of
the
its-
door down.
Yeah.
Okay. How does telekinesis work?
I was reading it. I can lift or move a single object or creature up to 1,000 pounds,
Okay.
30 feet around. If it is not worn or carried by a creature. Now, this
Okay.
thing is bolted shut, so maybe you might want me to roll a check or not. That's entirely up to you.
I'm not going to say a check. Instead, I'm going to say it's going to take time. And you're going to have to concentrate to try and move this thing.
Okay.
You can concentrate on it while you're doing that, right? That spell?
Yeah.
Okay. I need a save first.
Right.
Dexterity.
Nope. Got a 9.
Okay. 32 points of damage, plus you'll need a concentration. As you hear, like, bits of rumbling as the door is being pulled, Nathan, you're going to start to hear, like, stone breaking away behind you.
That's 32 all at once, or 32 from smaller attacks?
Well, yeah, actually, it should be individual. So technically it's 10, 10, 7, and 5.
10, 10, 7, and 5. All right, so that's a natural 10. That's a 12. That's a 13. And that's a 14. So all the concentration checks actually are good.
Perfect. So you continue to rip on the wall. Let's go with Nathan and Cytherin. Do you guys get any more bright ideas?
We're hearing more metal grinding, right?
Am I able to see anything?
Yeah, you're going to hear like stone breaking behind you down the hallway. Gromer's definitely doing something to try and get out of this one.
I feel like this is the wrong people in the wrong place. And are the dragons still firing?
No, they gave out one gout of fire each, and then they're done. Just past this, you can see a what looks to be an entryway into what was probably once a council room. There's a large table that's actually quite ornate, that's been broken and shattered across the floor. But there's a bunch of silverware and things like that. It seems like everything that's in here is actually in here, even though it's broken. So people haven't raided this room before.
Yeah, no shit.
I look at
Oh,
Cytherin
God.
and I'm asking, "Are you okay?" I mean, you'll make it, right?
Yeah, you would see that I'm just black with soot, and my skin has just completely burnt and boiled at this point. I'm breathing heavily, and I kind of just... I'm I'm fine. We've got to find a way to get Gromer out of there, though.
All right.
And I'm going to turn and run back towards the other room. And if you can hear
You're gonna
me in
see
there...
like bits of rock start like shuffling off the wall as you're getting closer to it.
Mm-hmm. And as I get to it, I sort of put my hands up against it, sensing that there's just nothing I can do against something of this size. But then I whip out my paintbrush and I draw on my side of the wall a picture that oozes through. And I'm just going to go ahead and use Bardic Inspiration. And you see on the other side this picture appearing on the wall.
So
And
Gromer's
if you feel inspired by that, you can go ahead and take a D10 that you can add to pretty much any roll.
perfect.
And that's all I got.
Gromer, you've got one more round of concentration after this one. It's going to be 3 spikes this time for 5, 6, and 2 points of damage.
Do I roll reflex for those or no?
Yes. If you make this, the numbers will adjust. Sorry, I forgot about the dexterity save.
All right, so I'm rolling three dexterity saves, not one,
Mhm.
right?
I was gonna say you can roll just one if you want.
Oh, all right.
Cover the whole thing. That's how I've been doing it.
Now that the damage is so nice and low, I get on the dice a 19, a 20, and a 14.
Okay.
Go
so,
figure.
2, 3, and 1 are the numbers you need to be for your concentration here.
Basically anything but a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good to go.
Perfect.
So 2, 3, and 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta mark down that damage. So Gromer's just like getting, skewered and sliced. His armor is getting, trails carved out of it. Sparks are flying as these things are just like delving into Gromer. Gromer's got his one outstretched hand, just sort of clenching it around empty air, focusing every ounce of concentration, attention, and fury he has on this stone door, trying to wrench it free.
Absolutely. So you can gain inspiration from that description there, as Gromer is fighting for his very life at this moment. The next round will go up, which will be Nathan and Citharan. Do you have anything you'd like to do first?
Trying to figure out. I have this spell that's called Mislead, and I'm trying to know if it has some physical mass. Basically, I become invisible, and there's an illusion of me that can just move ahead. I can gesture, speak, and behave in whatever way you choose. So I'm wondering, like, if it would trigger traps in a physical manner.
I would say not, because it's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
There are illusion spells that do create things with mass, but they usually specifically state that.
All right. So I guess since everybody is in the bad shape, it all falls all on me, and I will carelessly go through the corridor and enter the room.
Enter the council chamber there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have my detect magic. I think up to 10 minutes.
Okay. So with your detect magic, you can sense that there is something that is not necessarily detecting magic, but almost like it's eating away at your detect magic, like it's blocking it.
Okay.
It's buried behind a bunch of like rubble and stuff like that, and it'll take you a turn to kind of dig it out.
I'll try.
Okay. Then last round here of Spiky Death Trap. It's only going to be 2 of them that are coming after you.
I rolled a 19 and a 17 for the dex.
Perfect.
Dex saves.
So 3 and 4 is the damages.
Yeah.
Perfect. So with this, you finally manage to put the last bit of strength that you've got into it, and you rip the door. And as that happens, because those spikes are part of the gears, like you hear gears start ripping and grinding, and it takes out some of the gears in the wall, and you can hear kind of this almost like a fizzing sound as all the needles hit the ground along with yourself, and you land like flat on your stomach, like winding you for just a moment. The trap itself is just completely decimated by you ripping the door off and destroying half the mechanism with it.
So as all of that happens,
and there's Theron on the other side, like,
as the door, as
And
the
Theron
dust
was
settles,
actually just beating on the door like this, ting, ting, and then he tried pushing it like this, and as he's trying to push the door, it budges, and his eyes go wide, and he's like, yeah, yeah, and he like heaves it off, and he's like standing on the other side of the door like this.
perfect. The sounds of the mechanisms finally dies out as like gears finish like popping, and you hear like springs coming out and stuff like that. This whole trap room is just completely destroyed. Before Nathan, you managed to uncover a small box inside the room, and it's got a lock on it.
Is there any marking on it?
The box has a couple of runic scribes along the outside of it, pretty much along each of the sides.
I'll cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay. This is an older form of the Khazran dialect. It's part of their ancient magic tradition, where they could imbue certain runes with protections and wards. This one would normally stop magic. The only thing that you can really do is cast Read Magic on it so that you can figure out what it's doing, which is why your Detect Magic felt like it was being kind of sucked in almost by this box.
All right. I'll bring it back to the group. I guess that's all I found. And as I fall, I run back to the corridor and I see Gromor, and have this the picture of when I cast Speak with the Dead, and I see him, and I'm like, oh no, no. No. And I drop the box and I look at it. I'm so sorry, Gromor. I couldn't do. And when I start touching him, and I realize that he's actually alive.
He's like breathing super heavy.
Yeah. And I look at the room behind there, and like, and I look at him, and I look at the room.
Like the door is like still mostly intact, but it's been like thrown to the left side of the room where Gromor is on the right, like just below all these levers.
And I just dropped speechless. I just...
I had no choice.
And I sort of go over to Gromor too, and I put a hand on his shoulder and I say, my brother, I'm sorry we left you. I wasn't thinking as fast enough, but I thought we could find something on the other side to end this death trap. We weren't able. You were left alone by your brother Convokers, and for that I am sorry. And I sort of hang my head.
Grover sort of almost ignoring. He's like nodding, yeah, okay, and he's looking over at the box. He goes, "Is that step one?"
And again, I take a look at the room and at the dwarf, and like, stubborn dwarfs.
After looking at the mess and hearing the noises that were going on back there, the two of you probably would have been doomed if you were in there.
Yeah, that was the wise choice. And I guess it wasn't a death trap; it was just a trap. So yeah, this the box. Don't know what it says, but it's locked. And seeing how everything is trapped here, I don't want to be the one to open it.
He's like, just hand it over.
Before you open the box,
The
I'm
lock
gonna go ahead and cast Cure
traditional
Wounds.
tackle lock.
on you, if that's all right. I sort of
I don't
extend
know
my
what anybody just said.
I believe you're getting to cure wounds of some variety.
All right.
18 hit points.
Nice.
And I'll go ahead and give one to myself while I'm at it.
The lock that's on that box is a traditional shackle lock. It can be broken.
What do the runes on it say though? Because I have the eyes of the rune keeper.
The runes are an old Khazran dialect. It's basically wards of protection, sealing that box from any sort of magical means to open it or tamper with it or see into it.
So they don't say anything else, right?
Yeah, they're like anti-magic protection runes. In fact, when you look at it with the runes of the Lore Keeper, you have to like really kind of wince and concentrate to be able to figure out what they are, because it kind of absorbs the magic.
Hey, I think my vision's just going blurry from all the damage I took, so...
It kind of feels like that when you look at it.
I guess that's not even step 1. That's like half a step.
So, taking off his helmet, handing the box back to Nathan, Romer takes off his helmet, sort of wiping his sweaty forehead and rubbing his head. I think there was supposed to be a key in the room. Somewhere. Somewhere in the room.
Like 8 inches away from Gromer is this key that's got like a skull on it.
Yeah, we'll search the room for the key. That's a good idea.
Yeah, you see it. It's
right there.
like after you shift around some needles, it's actually fairly close to where Gromer was.
And does it look like it's about this, or at least could be the same size as the box, or is it just
It looks similar? Yeah,
completely different key?
it looks similar. There's also the keyhole that's next to the levers.
What's the worst that could happen, eh?
Before we do anything else, I'd like to go back to the room that had the box in it and search it thoroughly.
Okay.
Because this was like a sort of spur of the moment, run in there, one action, 6.
Yeah.
We found
Now
the box,
that you have a chance to look around, Nathan, I was going to say, now that you guys have a chance to look around, Nathan, you're going to notice a few other things along with Gromer, because I think you can see magic items too as well, right?
I didn't take that upgrade.
Oh, okay. Well, Nathan will notice them, but there are a few other like items that are floating around. Let me find where it is. So the first one is this thing actually shows correctly. This is the only problem I have with PDFs, is sometimes they take a little while to load up. Here we go.
Yeah.
You find a rapier, which is the first one here.
Hey.
And it, let's see. Take that. D10. All right. I just noticed a typo. I'll have to let them know about that.
Are you on Better Weapon Master?
Yeah. Yeah. The chart says roll a d20, but it's actually a 10 option list. Let's see here. So for the rapier, this is a duelist sword. Drawing a line in the sand will grant the wielder advantage on their next charisma check. It's actually an oddly super appropriate weapon. And for its physical characteristic, this rapier is of a strange dwarven design. The blade is flat and broad, but flexible and deadly.
Lovely.
A rapier with a flat, broad blade.
Kind of concentrating on this thing, you're able to make out its name. Just because I like the fact that they have a naming chart on here. So the name is going to be Silent Saber.
I took it up
let's
and kind of like the feel in my hand. Since I think I dropped the one in the other room.
Mhm. There is, appropriately as well, an axe inside there, which you'll figure out the command word to activate it too as you kind of study over it. It allows, on the wielder's command, this axe drips with caustic green liquid, dealing acid damage to its enemies. So it's going to be an extra d6 of acid damage. And to physical characteristics. Oh, that's cool. 10 golden rings dangle from the handle of this axe, the rings of long-dead pirate kings.
Ooh.
And its name is going to be Mountain Reaver.
They were mountain pirates.
It was an inland elevated sea.
Yar.
It's kind of a cool feature, though. I like the rings thing.
Yeah, that's
All
awesome.
right. And let's see. You haven't used any sort of weapon, so I don't even know what you wield. Alex, what is your character's weapon, so I can give you something appropriate?
He's got a concealed dagger, and that's it.
Dagger. Okay. I think I passed those earlier. Let me figure out where those are. Oh, that's right. This one doesn't have a table of contents or bookmarks.
Ooh.
I think daggers are lower on the list, actually. That is a spear. Quarterstaves. Here we go. Let's see, this one, I keep getting 4s. I'm re-rolling this. And apparently it just wants to roll 4s. What the hell? All right. This one, oh, that's pretty cool. This weapon has a will of its own. It will often transport its wielder and their companions to any point in the world where an innocent life is in jeopardy.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that.
Its physical feature is this knife is pronged at the end like a tuning fork. It sings when struck against a surface.
Oh.
Oh, that's epic for a bard.
And its name is going to be Lightfall's Spine.
I just imagine he gets a dagger and is like, oh, this is... I killed him!
I'm in the middle of the torture chamber where my elf buddy is just getting ripped apart, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Not yet. All right, so there's our unique loots for the room. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is going a little slower than I expected, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, so don't take that as a bad thing. What I'd like to do is do 2 parts, because this has been quite a bit of fun, and I've got a whole bunch of other stuff to do, and I think it's better to actually play it out instead of trying to cram it all in one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is keep you guys on the call once I end this, and we'll discuss when we could do this again, and we'll make sure that the schedule matches up, but I think probably a Saturday might work best for everybody still.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Saturdays, Sundays, they're
Although weekdays in the evening like this works for me too.
Yeah,
If we can start
right
this
now.
late.
Yeah. So with that, what I'd like to say is thank you for everybody who's tuned in. We've had like 3 to 5 viewers this whole time, which is pretty good for a live show that's not the Convokers. So I feel pretty awesome. But I know that I usually get more reviews during the week, so we'll probably see some comments on the YouTube video and stuff. With this, I'd like to give everybody a chance to do outros. You guys can pitch or sell anything you want as far as like channels or products that you work on, things like that. We'll start with Alex.
All right, guys. Well, it was a great pleasure playing with you. As always, Chris, I was blown away by your DMing. Really, really cool game. Thank you so much. You guys, it was just so much fun playing with you. I had a great time. I'm excited for part 2. And yeah, I don't have anything to plug, so I'll leave it off to you, Guillaume.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun. It was a great game. I was a little bit underprepared, but I'm looking forward for the part 2. And I have nothing
That's
to
okay.
but
Obviously, I wasn't super prepared for the magic items. I was like, I didn't give them any loot in this adventure. Let me fix that real quick. All right, Nelson.
Yeah, my name is Nelson. I played Gromer Irondust, the future galactic emperor of this world. I run the YouTube channel, Facebook group, and drive-through RPG store, all under the name Infinite Roleplay. Lately, I've been doing a little cartoon hack rewrite of Dungeons and Dragons called Saturday Morning D&D, which I'm doing progressive alpha testing. So if you want to try it out, try some silly over-the-top shenanigans, head over to my Infinite Roleplay Facebook group. Let me know, and I'll just add you into the group chat.
Yeah, I think you've got three one-shots coming up here?
6.
6. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I know that there was like a bunch that showed up on my feed.
It's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. It's what did I call it? It's like Super Dragon Slayer Extreme.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's just a stress test to see how good, how over the top the actual classes and the class tweaks are in Saturday Morning D&D against actual dragons straight out of the monster manual.
Perfect.
So
I'm obviously Chris. You guys are on my channel, Drop Dice. I've also got the website, which has been neglected a little bit because I did some updates on my computer and then I kind of forgot to log back into my website for a while. But we just finished up L5R, so if you want to get a chance to catch up on the Legend of the Five Rings campaign, we just finished up Season 1, and we're taking a short break to do Fantasy Flight Star Wars, which will be starting tomorrow Sunday, or today Sunday, now that it's actually past midnight my time, as kind of the interim between Seasons 1 and Season 2 of Legend of the Five Rings. It should definitely be a lot of fun. I also write for A Point of Inspiration, so check out their stuff as well. With that, as always, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you at the gaming table.